Hello and welcome to the channel. As always, like the video, and if you enjoyed the story, leave a comment on if you would want more. This fan fiction was not created by me, but in the description there is a link to the fanfic so you can show your support to the creator and read along. Without any more delay, let's dive into the story.
Sitting in the middle of a heavily wooded area of the Forest of Death, Naruto sat in lotus position with his eyes shut, simply thinking and calming himself with the sounds of the woodland area. It had been right around a week and Naruto had been wondering how he could find out anything about any Minato that was in Konoha without tipping off Jiraiya or Tsunade, since apparently it was all one big secret. He figured Jiraiya would eventually tell him. He would just procrastinate endlessly beforehand, and that could take months to years. He needed information now, and since he was damn sure that Kakashi was on the take in this little secret against him, he wasn't going to him, and he still couldn't find Danzo. Damn it, not that he was still looking, he had quit trying months ago. It was obvious that this Minato guy was pretty influential in his day, but Naruto was never taught anything that wasn't truly relevant to challenges he would actually face while he was en route, so that didn't help much. And after his sealing, his time in the academy was spent with many teachers refraining from helping or really teaching him, so eventually he started cutting classes and not paying attention to Iraka-sensei. Iraka-sensei. That was it. He wasn't old enough to really know anything on the scale of this cover-up, and he wasn't close to anyone that was trying to keep it buried. He had enough of the general knowledge in Konoha that he could answer his questions, and he was damnably easy to find at this time of the day. He would either be in class, or if school was out he would be assigning missions at HQ. When did that man find time to train? Shrugging these thoughts aside, Naruto broke from his meditation in the Forest of Death and began to make his way to the academy to find his old schoolteacher. Inside one of the classrooms of the academy, a Chunin with a scar across his face turned from the blackboard to face his room full of young students. Now who can tell me the order of ranking in Konoha's ninja system? Near the Bakudan's hand shot up as he started to answer with a sniffle. Iraka-sensei, it goes Genin, Chunin, Jounin, Kage. Iraka nodded. Very good, but what about Umbu? A little dark-haired girl with the telltale eyes of a Hyuga raised her hand to answer next. Umbu are drafted from any ranking depending on their skill level and amount of potential, although their identities are kept secret for the most part. A ninja of any ranking can be Umbu, but they are usually drafted from the level of Chunin and up. Iraka smiled gently at the girl. Good answer, Hanabi. Now next we dash dot. He was interrupted by the abrupt sliding noise indicating the opening of the lower door, and a mop of spiky blonde hair poked through the doorway. Naruto? Naruto's eyes scanned the room momentarily before settling on Iraka. Giving the man an old-school foxy grin just because he could, Naruto stepped into class with no further ado. He looked at the kids in the class and noticed near the back that Moegi and Udon were trying to shake Konohamaru awake to tell him he was there. Getting back to the matter at hand, he focused on Iraka. Iraka-sensei, can you help me out really quickly? You don't even have to leave, it's just a question. Iraka sighed. You crashed my class, Naruto. What do you have to say for yourself? Shrugging, he simply stated, I've done stuff way worse than just crash your class, Iraka-sensei. Or have you forgotten? Maybe I can give some aspiring delinquents some base ideas. Boss. Naruto simply waved at Konohamaru with a massive grin on his face. Hey Konohamaru. He turned back to Iraka and whispered to him, I think he'll do just fine with a little inspiration, don't you? Iraka palmed his face. Please don't make an army of pranking underlings, Naruto. I had enough problems with just you, and now you're all souped up and super strong now, which can only make matters worse. I can only imagine what anyone you apprentice would come out like. You can go ahead and ask your question. I'll see if I can help, but only if you help me beforehand. Because you had to interrupt my lesson, I need a favor from you. Nodding in agreement, Naruto scratched his chin. Fine, go ahead and tell me what you need, Iraka-sensei. I'm in no real hurry, I'm on medical leave and needed something to do today anyway. Good, by the way, I'd still like to hear about what you did on that last mission if you don't mind later. Iraka smiled at Naruto and turned around to the class. Alright kids, today I'm going to give you all a little treat. I'm going to break off from the lecturing for today and give you all a chance to ask questions to an active Konoha shinobi. The children in the class started buzzing over talking to a real shinobi that wasn't Iraka. Naruto blinked in surprise. Irika-sensei, are there any questions that I can't answer? Irika shook his head. No, Naruto, this is for their benefit so they can ask whatever they want. That isn't a problem, is it? Naruto shook his head and Irika turned back to the class. Okay, today we have Naruto Uzumaki here to speak with you. This was an on-the-fly kind of thing, so let's go with it. Naruto moved to Irika's desk and sat down on it while he overlooked the classroom. Alright, none of you know me or have ever even spoken to me, except Konohamaru, Udon, and Moegi. Raise your hands and I'll call on anyone with a question. As hands shot up all over the room, he saw a little brown-haired girl near the front and pointed to her. You, shoot. She lowered her hand and smiled nervously. Uzumaki-san, I know that there are ninja that specialize in certain things like taijutsu, or genjutsu, or things like that. What kind of ninja would you say you are? Naruto took a moment to ponder the question. I specialize in killing my opponent. Ignoring Irika slapping a palm over his face again, he elaborated, I don't know any genjutsu, just how to dispel even the toughest ones if I ever come across any. I'm very good at taijutsu, but I know people that are way better at pure hand-to-hand combat than me. I would say that I'm a ninjutsu specialist, but I'm still learning a lot of tougher ones. I'm decent at kenjutsu, but not as good as I would like to be as. I've learned recently, I'm very good at stealth techniques, but I can't really utilize that skill with my current rank yet. He shrugged his shoulders at her question. I don't specialize in any single facet of being a ninja, but I'm at the very least passable in all of them. If your aim is to be a powerful shinobi, you should all keep that kind of mindset. Over-specialization can get you killed. I know at least 2 jounin that I can beat right now, because if I neutralize what it is that they're best at, they can't beat me. Specializing isn't really a bad thing, just make sure that everything else is at least up to snuff. Irika's eyes widened as he heard Naruto's explanation of his skills. He was about to tell him to be serious about the situation, but as he watched Naruto's facial motions and how he spoke, he realized that he was telling the absolute truth. This wasn't empty boasting, it was a tested fact as far as Naruto was concerned. I've heard he was that good from others, but is it really that true? The kids raised their hands again, and this time Naruto pointed to a boy with close-cut hair. When is the last time that you killed someone, Uzumaki-san? Naruto scratched his chin. 2 weeks ago on my last mission I killed like 3 people. Well, 2 people, one of them just died in the middle of the fight, I didn't finish him. Next question. Udon raised his hand and Naruto nodded to him. Why do you call Irika-sensei, sensei boss? Naruto smirked. When I graduated, Irika was my instructor, therefore he is my sensei. He's the only man that I call sensei because he's the only one that taught me anything. Not even my jounin sensei really taught me anything. Well, he's the only one that ever taught me anything that you all need to know about. He pointed to a boy with Inuzuka face markings. The boy gave him a wild grin. Your turn, kid. How many years have you been a ninja? Naruto blinked at his question. Longer than you've been alive, you little bastard. Yeah, he wished he could say that out loud. I'm just starting my 2nd year. I graduated last year. I know Irika-sensei remembers that little event. Irika nodded with a grin. The boy asked another question. Why is the sheath on your back empty? Are you too broke to afford a sword? His question got a series of laughs from the people around him. Naruto glared at the kid. When you use a sword to attempt to cut grown men in half, it sometimes gets broken in the line of duty. In which case you then have to get it fixed, you little motherfucker. It's in the shop. I'd be glad to introduce you to the sharp end of it when I get it back. Shit, Naruto. Stop cursing in my classroom before I kick you out. Irika fumed at him. Naruto turned to Irika with a fake angry look. Irika-sensei, you can't say shit in front of the students. What the fuck? Naruto chuckled while Irika was sputtering nonsense and pointed up to Konohamaru, who he had intentionally been ignoring to piss him off. Ah, little kids are so easy to annoy. Go ahead, Konohamaru. Konohamaru's little glare was a thing of the past as he gave Naruto a toothy grin. Why didn't you tell me you got promoted, boss? I only found out the other day when I saw your pink-haired teammate. Naruto shrugged. You didn't need to know, kid. Would it have changed anything? I've been a chunin for a while now. Liar. Naruto turned his head towards the little Hyuga girl from before. And why are you calling me a liar? Naruto started in an effort to feel out her name. Hanabi. The girl stated matter-of-factly, and I'm calling you a liar because I saw you fight during the Chunin exams and you didn't get promoted from that, no one did. Not even Niji. Naruto smirked at her, and you know this because you personally saw me drop the hammer on Niji firsthand, right? Naruto ignored Irika's comment on language. There was another test a while after the Chunin exams, and after that me and Shikamaru Nara got promoted. She didn't falter. Then where's your Chunin vest? You get a vest upon promotion. Naruto shook his head. You do, but I don't like that bulky piece of crap, so I don't wear it. It's not a necessity to wear it like it is for your height, so I don't wear it at all. Others do it mostly because they care about people thinking they're elite, or they like the extra padding. Any other questions on my rank or integrity? Because I can keep this up all day until one of you steps on a nerve. Come on, I've got unlimited free time and a whole can of whoop-ass. Who wants to set me off? Irika sweat dropped and decided to intervene before one of these kids ended up getting strangled by a rabid blonde kid. Okay everyone, that's enough for today. Now Naruto, what was your question that you needed to ask? Naruto hopped off of Irika's desk. Irika-sensei, how many people named Minato do you know in Konoha? And who would you say is the most famous one? Also, could you tell me if he had any kind of relationship with Jiraiya of the Sannin? Irika gave Naruto a dumb look. I thought he was your hero when you were in school. That's what you told me the night before you graduated. Naruto gave him a deadpan look. I have made concerted efforts to attempt to mentally block out any and all dumbass remarks I ended up making while in the academy. Needless to say, due to the potential of overlapping layers of stupidity, there was some mental fratricide. I don't remember. Irika raised his eyebrow. You said it was the Yondaime Hokage. Naruto's eyes brightened in understanding. So I did. Irika gave Naruto a dry look in return. Naruto, that's the Yondaime's name. Minato Namikaze. He was trained by Jiraiya. He summoned toads. He beat the Kyuubi. And now he's dead and I'm not. Kyuubi, 1, Minato Namikaze, 0, oh yeah. Naruto ignored the Kyuubi and pieced together everything he just heard. Irika just looked at Naruto, who was staring out into space with a blank look on his face. Konohamaru stood up in concern. What's wrong with Naruto Nizan? Hanabi smirked smugly. Maybe his tiny brain fried because he learned something new today. Life came into Naruto's eyes as they snapped over to her. He started marching towards the door, radiating killing intent and cracking his knuckles. Alright, everyone outside to the practice field. Who wants to spar with a real-life ninja? Let's go. Irika moved to intercept him before he could leave. Naruto? We don't spar until Friday, and you're not a student. He whipped around with a sadistic gleam in his eye. I need to vent a lot of frustration and pent-up aggression right now. The Suna kids are gone, so I can't just beat the crap out of Garas Sand until I get tired or feel better, and your room full of chibi trainees are the only thing within reaching distance, so either I put the hurt on them, or I put the hurt on you, Irika-sensei. 3 hours later, Naruto sat tied up to a wooden chair in Tsunade's office with 3 umbus standing around him keeping watch. Oh come on. I wasn't gonna put them in the hospital or anything. I just wanted to blow off some steam. Tsunade stood from her desk and nailed him in the head. After his head snapped down from the impact, he let it sit for a moment before Naruto looked up and grinned at her. Didn't hurt. Tsunade cracked her knuckles and drilled him straight in the face, flipping the chair over and breaking it on the ground, loosening his restraints. Naruto looked up at the ceiling and tried to regain his bearings. Ugh. That chair was bolted to the floor, Bachan. He rolled over and spit out a tooth. Looking up at the umbu, he shrugged and placed it in one of their hands. It'll grow back. Tsunade wiped off her bloody fist and sat back down at her desk. What the hell is wrong with you, brat? You beat up an entire class of academy students. Who does that? Naruto stood up and dusted himself off. In my defense, I let them all come at me at once, and I tied one hand behind my back. Consider it a teamwork exercise. Give them all extra credit grades, tell their parents it was sanctioned, everybody wins. Tsunade snorted. You're going to catch some flack for this kid. What were you thinking? Naruto looked around at the umbu still in her office. You mind sending these guys out? This is kind of sensitive information. Tsunade gave him a look that said, "Are you kidding?" Well, okay, I mean, I was under the impression that Minato Namikaze was important. Tsunade's eyes widened and she quickly ordered her Umbu out. "What do you know about Minato, brat?" Instead of flat-out answering, Naruto stood and made his way to the wall that had pictures of all of the Hokage in order from 1st to 5th. He stopped in front of the picture of the Yondaime and stood next to it looking out at Tsunade. "I must be fucking retarded. How the fuck did I not see this?" He gestured between himself and the picture. "He looks just like me. Kami, I'm slow on the uptake." Tsunade sighed and rubbed her temple. "How did you figure it out?" "We were going to tell you soon." Naruto chuckled. "Iraka-sensei." He noticed her surprised look. "Oh, come on, Bachan." He pointed out the window at the Hokage monument. "It's been literally staring me in the face every day for 13 years. I had to get help to figure it out. I should be pissed off right now. But I'm not, and I don't know why." Tsunade sighed. "You are angry, you're just repressing it. That's not healthy, Naruto. I think it's time I assign you a mission. You need to get out of town and take some of the edge off. I'll have something for you tomorrow. We can talk about this when Jiraiya gets back. He can answer all of your questions. I think you know that you can't tell people about this." Naruto shrugged. "What else is new? I'm a walking secret. Am I leading or tagging along for this mission? Does it matter?" Tsunade saw Naruto shake his head before she got an evil smirk on her face. "Now I think the crime of assaulting an entire class of students warrants some kind of punishment. Don't you think, brat?" Naruto's jaw dropped. "Punishment? You punched me in the face and knocked my tooth out. What the hell are you going to do with me now?" 4 hours later. "This is bullshit." Naruto yelled as he speared another piece of trash with his stick and placed it in his bag. "I should be done by now, but you won't let me use any jutsu." Slightly out of his way, Shikamaru was laying on one of the hills that Naruto had cleared, keeping his eye on his fellow Chunin. "Hokage-sama called me to oversee your D-ranks for today and gave me explicit orders to make sure you didn't use any ninjutsu to help you complete the jobs faster. This is the last one for the day, so calm down, Naruto." Naruto angrily stalked over to more trash in the park. "You're just alright with this because it's giving you the excuse to do nothing. You lazy bastard." Shikamaru yawned as he turned his attention to the clouds. "Troublesome, just finish up so I can stop listening to your complaining. Between you and Ino, I can't tell who's worse right now." Naruto chuckled as he stabbed consecutive pieces of trash. "You should take up drinking. It's done wonders for Bachan. I don't even bother her that much anymore. Sometimes she's totally lucid. You'd love it." As he returned to his work, he cursed again. "I'm not even getting paid for this crap. Stupid kids that can't fight their way out of a wet paper bag. That Inuzuka kid dropped like a stone. I thought they were supposed to be good at taijutsu." Shikamaru raised an eyebrow. "It was a class full of 7 and 8-year-olds. Naruto pointed his stick at Shikamaru. "Don't make excuses for them." Naruto closed up the last bags and tossed them on the back of a cart. "Okay, now that Hell Day is over, let's report so I can get hammered." Shikamaru stood up and the two started towards the Hokage Tower. "You're 13, Naruto. We're too young to drink." Naruto flicked the Hide on his belt. "If I can spend all day doing minimum wage jobs and killing people for money, I have the right to use that money to purchase liquor. It comes with the status, Shikamaru." "Troublesome." Shikamaru shook his head as they continued their walk to report into the mission table. Naruto leaned on the counter of the weapons shop owned by Tenten's family while he waited for someone to appear to help him. "Hello, Naruto." Naruto lifted his head to see Tenten entering the shop. "Are you here for your sword?" Naruto nodded and yawned. "Yeah, what? Did you just get back from team training?" Tenten nodded as she went behind the counter to talk with the scarred boy. "Yep. Guy and Lee said they saw you painting a fence. Why are you doing D-ranked missions? You're a Chunin now." Naruto smirked. "I beat up a class full of kids at the academy and the Hokage made me do a ton of them. It was great while it lasted. They shouldn't have been talking shit." Naruto noticed a brown-haired man coming from the back wiping his hands off. "So, Mr. Tenten's dad, how long do you need my sword for?" I have a new mission to go on tomorrow, it's the Broken Ninjato. Tenten's father reached down behind the counter and picked up a wrapped bundle before placing it on the countertop. You paid when you dropped it off, right? Naruto nodded and pulled out a written receipt. Alright then, she's all yours, kid. Naruto grinned and picked up his sword, testing it out somewhat before sheathing it on his back. I missed this thing. Thanks a lot, sir, it's like it never even broke at all. Tenten's dad nodded and headed back to the back. Tenten pointed at Naruto chidingly as a smile came to her lips. Don't go breaking it again, Naruto. I don't want to see that thing back in here in pieces. Naruto scoffed. Yes you do, that's more money for your shop girl. But yeah, it won't break anytime soon. I mean, how often will I come across a guy that can make an indestructible bone drill around his arm? After giving her a two-fingered salute, he headed out of the shop for home. Naruto went to the only place that he knew there could be no one following him and once again traversed the terrain of the Forest of Death. Once he got himself inside and found a decent clearing, he bit his thumb and made his hand signs for a summoning. Who summoned me out here? As the massive plume of smoke cleared, it revealed Gamabunta looking down in front of him to see Naruto standing patiently. What do you need, kid? I told you not to summon me for dumb reasons. Naruto didn't flinch from the toad's booming voice. Gamabunta, I'll be straight with you since I know that you know who I really am. Tell me who it is that I look like. He saw Gamabunta almost drop his pipe from his mouth and nodded. That's what I thought. I knew you knew. Gamabunta sighed, letting out smoke from his mouth that covered Naruto. I knew it from the second I saw you, Gaki. I just felt it wasn't my place to say anything about it, and later when I confronted Jiraiya about it after you first summoned me and blacked out, he told me everything about it, even the seals. I mean, come on, kid, I worked with the man for years and then I end up seeing his chibified version sitting on my head 12 years later? I almost dropped us down that chasm we were stuck in. Naruto chuckled and lay back on the ground. So whose ass am I going to kick for this? Jiraiya's, I guess, and maybe Kakashi. Did Kakashi know? Gamabunta shrugged. Not sure, kid, but he was your old man's student, so it wouldn't be a stretch to say he did. But don't do anything rash. You aren't as dumb as I thought you were when we first met, so I know that you're fully aware of the reasons why it was kept from you. Naruto sighed and sat up. Yeah. The bullshit with IWA and anyone else that dad beat up on sending assassins after me, the politicians getting to me to do who knows what once they realized who I was, and all of that coupled with the resentment I would have gotten for being Konoha's Jinchuriki wouldn't have gone over too well for me. Man, I need a drink. A grin came onto Gamabunta's face. You remember what I said you had to do with me when you first summoned me? Naruto's eyes widened as a deep rumbling laugh came from Gamabunta. Resummon me in 15 minutes, Gaki. Let's see if you can hold your booze. The next day. Early the next morning, Naruto was laying on the couch in Tsunade's office with Shizen running green hands over his head. What did you do last night, Naruto-kun? Why does a 13-year-old need a hangover cure? Naruto groaned as the sound of Shizen's voice reverberated through his head like a sledgehammer. Shizen-nichan. There are some things that you don't need to know about, trust me. The next moment Tsunade walked through the door and stopped for a moment to stare at her hungover teenage Chunin who had her apprentice fretting over him. Shrugging it off as early morning bullcrap, she sat down at her desk and pulled up the first piece of her daily paperwork. She looked up from her work with a quirked eyebrow. Brat, why is there a report on my desk claiming that there were sounds of Gamabunta singing drinking songs at the top of his lungs last night around training area 44? She looked back at the paper and narrowed her eyes. Also, they claim that in a clearing somewhere inside the forest there are around 37 giant spider corpses littering the field. Some were ripped apart, cut clean through, burned to a crisp, and squashed outright in giant webbed footprints with Mtemaya Boka firebrand sake filling up some of the prints? Naruto shrugged and held his head. How do you know the brand? That's on here too. She pointed to the sheet of paper. Apparently there were around 12 human-sized containers strewn about the area. Naruto smirked to himself as he felt the soothing healing feeling from Shizen's jutsu. That's some good stuff. Gamabunta's awesome. Tsunade placed the sheet in the discard pile, shaking her head. I'm not even going to ask. Why don't you have alcohol poisoning? Never mind, are you ready for the mission today, or do I have to throw you in jail for being drunk in public? Naruto shot up abruptly, "Hey! I was not drunk in public." Shizen's sweat dropped. "Naruto-kun, I found you blacked out on the top of the building this morning when I came in early." Naruto scoffed and stood in front of Tsunade's desk. "Hey! I was getting drunk in the woods. Gamabunta threw me into public. I wanted to be drunk in the forest, which is perfectly legal. Arrest him." A sigh came from the elder blonde in the room as she motioned for Naruto to come and listen to her directions. "This is B-ranked. You're escorting a VIP to Kumogakure alongside a team of 2 other Chunin and 1 Jounin. This should take a few weeks at the least and a few months at the longest due to the fact that there will be negotiations between our representative, who you will be traveling with, and the Kumo higher-ups." Naruto nodded. "So this is just one of those get experience kind of things, right?" He felt curious, however. "So who are we escorting and who do I have on my team?" A frown came from the blonde Hokage. "You know what? No, I'm not telling you this time. Get your little ass down to mission control to get your assignments. I shouldn't be handling this. I have people that actually get paid to be doing this instead of me." Naruto stood staring silently for a moment before simply turning around and leaving the office with not a word. Shizen looked at her mistress in a huff. "Tsunade-sama, that was mean. Naruto-kun didn't do anything." Tsunade looked up from her work and glared slightly. "Yes, he did. The brat had 12 cases of firebrand sake and he didn't even invite me. How rude is that?" After receiving his scroll detailing his mission, he made his way to the gate to meet his assembled team. By the time he arrived, he found 3 men waiting to depart alongside an elderly man. The first man had brown hair with 1 bang covering his right eye. He had his hide on in a bandana and wore the usual outfit for Konoha shinobi. Naruto knew this man as one of the Chunin that usually guarded the main gate of the village, Izumo Kamizuki. Nearby was his usual partner, Kotetsu Hagane. He had a bandage on his nose, wild spiky black hair and a goatee. He was also dressed in the usual garb of higher-up shinobi. The final escort out of them was Ganma Shiranui, the man that Naruto remembered proctored the final stages of the Chunin exam before the invasion. He had brown hair that reached his neck, a bandana-style hide that he wore backwards, the standard ninja outfit, and a sunban in his mouth. The man they were to escort was an older man with gray hair, a beard, glasses, and what appeared to be a perpetual frown on his features. Naruto knew this man as one of the Sandaime Hokage's teammates, Hamura Midokado. This was one of the 2 elders that Naruto didn't like. The old woman, Koharu Udatane, Naruto somewhat liked. She had something of a more group before one person mindset, but when he was an academy student visiting the Hokage, she at least treated him like a regular little kid. Back when he was en route, he remembered Danzo telling him when conversations would begin to revolve around him during council meetings, and in most of them Hamura was biased against Naruto, which was weird since he usually sided with Danzo. However, when it came to anything involving Naruto, his mindset was to keep him weak. He was against him entering the academy after the sealing, he was against him graduating after the incident with Mizuki. And he could only imagine how he bitched about Naruto's promotion following the events after the Chunin exams. If ever there was a time for the emotionless mask he harnessed en route, he'd be damned if this wasn't one of those times. Hopefully he wouldn't have to speak to the old man. Naruto walked up to the only Jounin out of the group, Ganma, to report in. "Chunin Naruto Uzumaki here for escort mission to Kumogakure." Ganma turned a lazy glance to Naruto and smiled as he remembered exactly who it was. "Good to see you again, kid. So you're the last member of my team, huh?" The 2 elder Chunin smiled when they saw their young, scar-faced companion. They headed over to Ganma and Naruto while Kotetsu waved to him. "Hey Naruto. You're coming on this mission?" Naruto let the emotion seep back into his eyes when he saw how casual the others were being with him. "Yeah, I am." "Are you 2 actually doing something other than watching the gate for once? When was the last time you 2 even had a mission outside?" Kotetsu groaned as the bane of his existence, guard duty, was brought up. "Don't remind me, kid. Izumo seems to think there's nothing wrong with gate watching, but I say to hell with it, I'd rather be in the field." Izumo sighed and shook his head. "There's nothing wrong with that job, Kotetsu. We're protecting the citizens of Konoha. There isn't a more important job for us to have." He turned to smirk at Naruto. "Maybe we'll get to see you cut loose on this mission. I know you were holding back during your test and nobody saw you beat those Odo ninja that almost killed Ganma, so I'm curious as to how you fight. Ganma stepped in to defend himself. Hey, it was 4-on-2. Rado and I were winning before they used their cursed seals. They didn't annihilate us or anything. Anyway, enough chatter, it's time to get on the road. He walked over to Hamura. Elder Hamura, my entire team has assembled. Are you prepared to leave? Hamura's eyes panned across the amassed squad and he nodded to Gunma. Yes, let's set out for Kumo. It should take us around 1 week to arrive. As they exited the main gate, there was a carriage waiting that the elderly man sat inside with Ganma seated in the driver's seat. Kotetsu took up position in the front of the vehicle while Naruto and Izumo went along the sides. The group of Chunin ran along in stride with the carriage as they made their way through the countryside. A little while into the trip, Naruto let out an audible groan. Damn it, I never turned off all of the stuff in my house. I never went home last night. He immediately made a Kage Bunshin that went sprinting back the other way. Hours later, the ninjas surrounding the carriage started to converse with one another as they stopped for the night. Hamura had long since had his tent set up and had retired for the evening. It was mostly Izumo and Kotetsu kicking old stories between them, but for Naruto it was a welcome change from the monotony of simple travel. Hey Izumo, do you remember back in the academy when we made those fudgesicles out of dog shit and one of the senseis ate one? The man in question snickered at the memory when he recalled who else was in attendance. Hey Naruto. How did you pull off painting the Hokage monument in broad daylight? You hadn't even graduated yet and you got past everyone and outran all of the ninjas sent to chase you for like an hour. I guess I was subconsciously drawing on some of my training en route when I did that. I seem to have done that a lot. Naruto shrugged. I've done better things than that since then. You guys know about all of the stuff that happened the week before my test? Danma decided to speak up from his position on top of the carriage. Everybody remembers that. There wasn't anyone that knew somebody that got away untouched during that whole thing. Are you saying you did that stuff? Naruto grinned and chuckled. Well, when you put it like that, it seems like you don't believe me. Kotetsu almost choked up. Wait, you did do that? How the hell did you go about doing that? Some people said it was probably you since you disappeared, but there were too many hits in too many places at one time for you to do it alone. Danma shook his head in good humor. And what exactly is the kid's specialty? Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. I heard he could make a ton of them, but something on that scale is ridiculous. Naruto waved it off. Oh, it was all in good fun. Everything I did didn't leave any major property damage and at the most required a few good minutes of work to remedy. Izumo chuckled. You seriously pissed off the Hyuga clan with that flash bomb stunt. That was truly priceless. Danma looked at the group of Chunin under his command. Naruto. We don't know too much about you except for the little bit of you we've seen, and I don't like going off of gossip, so why don't you tell us a little about yourself? Why did you want to be a ninja in the first place? Frowning slightly, he thought about what he should say. Well, the reason I became a ninja shouldn't really be too surprising considering how I used to be. He scratched his head. I guess I can tell you that. You know how you would always hear some loud kid shouting about being Hokage? Well, I wasn't always like that. As a matter of fact, I didn't give a damn about being Hokage until then. I wanted to be a ninja before that though. The reason was because I just wanted to be acknowledged for something. He looked around at everyone that was with him. I know you all know about what I carry, and I know you've all at least heard a smattering of remarks about me that aren't too positive. Well, when I was a kid I didn't know why people treated me so badly, but I saw the ninja of this village, and everyone held them in such high regard, and I wanted that. Now I realize how childish that was, but I never regretted anything. I mean, how boring would my life be if I wasn't a ninja, and what else could I have possibly done except be a shinobi of Konoha? I'm its Jinchuriki. What, was I going to be a shopkeeper or something? A round of laughs from the adults around him loosened him up a bit when Izumo voiced his own question. Hey, actually I want to know, what's it like holding the Kyuubi? I just couldn't imagine something like that being inside me. Naruto looked up at the night sky as he thought about an answer. Well, aside from the glares, people pulling their kids away from you on the playground and all of that jazz, it's not really bad. Eyes widened all around when Kotetsu spoke for the group. Really? Naruto nodded. Yeah, I mean, since I've learned about it, there are times when Kyuubi just won't shut the hell up about stuff. But other than that little negative aspect, there isn't really anything negative that I can think of. I can use chakra 3 times as potent as human chakra whenever I need to. It's damn near impossible to kill me without a one-shot one-kill maneuver to finish me off with. I heal ridiculously fast from just about everything, and the Kyuubi is a decent source for a different point of view while in combat. If it weren't for all of the village stuff that I have to deal with on a regular basis, I would say that it's pretty cool. The group sat in silent contemplation until a scowl came across Naruto's face. My Kage Bunshin is an asshole. What? Was the general reaction to such a random statement from around the campsite. Naruto pinched the bridge of his nose and shook his head. You know how I sent that clone off to make sure all of my things were turned off at home and everything? Well, he didn't dispel after he finished his job. As a matter of fact, he spent the entire day doing random shit in my name. Flashback. Naruto's Bunshin grumbled as he locked the door to Naruto's apartment after checking the entire house for anything still turned on. That was a total waste of time and effort. There wasn't anything running up my electric bill in there. He looked at himself and was about to dispel until he heard a bark and saw Kiba running up to him, Akamaru in tow, with a massive grin on his face. Naruto, oh man. I just heard about what you did yesterday at the academy. I want to shake your hand. After grabbing Naruto clone firmly in a handshake, Kiba gestured to go somewhere. Come on, let's get something to eat, I'm starving. Now being a Kage Bunshin, they're only ever treated as the original by mistake. Despite the fact that they are the byproduct of chakra manipulation, they still think after they are made even after they complete their orders, and the original never ordered this clone to dispel after completion of his task, and he just so happened to be looking at a golden opportunity for a Kage Bunshin. Clapping Kiba on the shoulder, a grin came to his face. Sure Kiba, let's go. Ichiraku's is cool with you, isn't it? 1 hour later. Kiba and Akamaru looked on in awe as they saw Naruto clone put away another bowl of ramen, bringing his total of bowls consumed to a whopping 26. Kiba had only gotten 2 for himself and a plate of meat for Akamaru. Dude, where are you putting all of that? You should have puked about 10 bowls ago. Naruto polished off another bowl and smirked at the Inuzuka. My metabolism is absurd. He quickly received another bowl and dove right in. Kiba had paid off his check for his own food 30 minutes ago, but found himself unable to leave as he watched Naruto scarf down insane amounts of noodles and broth one bowl after another. You know I wasn't going to pay for your food too, right? After finishing off the broth yet again, he nodded. Oh yeah, I've got that handled. Turning his attention to the chef of his favorite meal, clone Naruto spoke up. Hey Tsuchiyaji. Put this meal on my tab. I'm going on a B-rank mission, so I'll be able to pay it off easily once I get back in the village. Tsuchi turned to the clone and nodded. You've got it, Naruto. As long as you pay me, it's okay. Naruto grinned and gave him a thumbs up. Don't worry, I promise I'll pay. And I never go back on my word, old man. In Irika's classroom, the kids were silently taking notes on his lecture. He was amazed. In all the years he had been teaching, he had never had a class completely attentive before. But here 100% of the class was quiet and writing. He figured Naruto must have given them all shell shock yesterday. Irika's attention was broken when the slide of a door opened up and he heard a collective gasp go up among the students, most with looks of horror on their faces. Irika turned to see the grinning face of Naruto. Naruto, what are you doing here? You're lucky no one's parents put a restraining order on you yet. Naruto clone's grin only got wider, while Irika-sensei, I felt something was missing yesterday, so? He turned his attention to the same little Inuzuka boy from yesterday. I brought my sword. The kids all eyed any exit they thought would allow them to escape quickly enough when the sound of metal sliding from a sheath rang out. Suddenly all eyes turned to Naruto clone. I haven't even tested it out since I got it back. Who wants to help me? Last person in the classroom volunteers. In a rush of little feet, shouting, and piling through entrances, the room cleared of all life except Naruto and Irika. Irika simply palmed his forehead and sighed. You enjoy yourself? Naruto clone nodded in satisfaction. Yeah, I guess that will do. Catch you later, Irika-sensei. With that he shined out of the classroom. Tsunade was returning to her office following her lunch break. Not really looking forward to continuing her monotonous business of reading and signing paperwork, she was looking forward to Shizun's post-lunch slump. Shizun normally would prevent Tsunade from even getting near a sip of sake during the day, apparently able to smell it out like a bloodhound, but the blonde with ample cleavage had deduced that there was a lull in her dark-haired apprentice's alertness for a 10-minute span following lunch every day. Smiling to herself as she took a seat behind her desk, she reached into a drawer for her workplace stash. Pulling up the containers of alcohol, she noticed they felt extremely light. Attempting to pour some straight into her mouth, she caught not a drop from either bottle. As she angrily chucked the empty sake bottles across the room, she looked inside the drawer to find a note scribbled out hastily. "Hey Bachan. Did you know you had 2 bottles of sake in your desk? Don't worry, I took care of it for you. It may be an inebriating beverage, but man does it hit the spot. But such a drink isn't becoming of a Hokage on the job, therefore I did you a favor and downed the whole thing for you, both of them. No need to thank me, the knowledge of a job well done and the fact that you can now work without being tempted by the deliciousness that was your formerly full bottles of sake is all the acknowledgement I need. Love, Naruto Uzumaki." P.S. Yorambu are ridiculously easy to distract, did you know that? Tsunade crumpled up the note and radiated killing intent so strong the civilians walking outside the tower started sweating from it. "Goddamn you, brat." Flashback end. And then my clone spent the rest of his existence drunk dialing random numbers on the phone back at home, throwing firecrackers at Guy and Lee while they were training, and getting kicked out of a general store for trying to play the drums that were set up on display. I don't think I can go back into that store anymore. But, yeah, the clone got a wild hair up his ass and thought that he still had beef with the spiders in the Forest of Death, so he went in there yelling and challenging them to a duel, and then he died. Silence reigned over the camp until all of the men busted out laughing. Even the Kyuubi, who had seen everything the clone had done after it dispelled, was laughing. Naruto waited for the laughter to die down. "How the hell do I know all of that?" All humor vanished at his question as Ganma answered him, "You mean you don't know? Anything your Kage Bunshin does comes back to you in memory. You honestly never realized that before?" Naruto shook his head and Ganma nodded. "Yeah, they say that it's a cool way to train, because anything your clone learns you will get back when you dispel it. It all goes into your head. No one uses it though, because no one, even most Jonin, can use any more than 1 to 3 of them safely. Hey kid, how many can you make?" "Upwards of 1,000. "Ah." Naruto blinked. "Wait a goddamn minute. I could have been getting my Megatrain on since the day I became a genin and I'm just now learning this? Who else knew about this?" Kotetsu raised his hand. "I knew. Kakashi told me a few years ago when I ran into him on a training field." Naruto fumed. "Kakashi knew? Kakashi knew and he didn't fucking tell me? He was my damn sensei for a year and he couldn't even tell me that? I'm going to kick his ass when we get back to Konoha for that." Naruto stood up and stomped off into the distance. Ganma, being the squad leader, had to ask where he was going. "Hey Naruto, where are you going?" Naruto didn't even turn his head when he yelled back, "Anger management." The men all shrugged and prepared to settle in for the night. The majority of the evening you could hear explosions and sounds of metal clashing out in the distance. The trip to Kuminari no Kuni was highly uneventful. Naruto ended up getting on even better terms with his older comrades, who seemed to genuinely like the boys' company. Up to this point, however, Naruto had been having a minor stroke of luck, as he hadn't had to interact with the Konoha elder that they were escorting. The man usually relayed anything he had to say to the team through Ganma, who was the leader of the mission anyway. Naruto had taken the Kage Bunshin training to heart. He was told that the method wouldn't allow him to increase his physical attributes, so he put that on hold for the time being. It wasn't like he could train on that while he was on a mission anyway. Instead, when he woke up in the morning, he would create a few dozen clones and send them off to the most remote location that they could find to train in waves. While 1 dozen clones would train, the rest would sit and watch until the first wave dispelled themselves. After the influx of information, the next wave would train, and so on and so forth until nightfall. This allowed him to get down 3 more of his lost ninjutsu during the week-long trip to Kumogakure no Sato, much to his delight. It seemed that the trip wouldn't be a waste of time, at least during the traveling period. Naruto didn't expect much of a chance for combat here, but Kumogakure was the second most militarized of the 5 major hidden villages right behind Iwagakure for a reason. He wasn't sure how peaceful things would be, and he wasn't looking forward to seeing whether or not his team could run all the way to the border and stay in one piece, and he didn't want to rely on Kumo wanting to avoid a war. Konoha was still weak from the invasion, and no amount of bravado by still taking the same influx of missions could mask that against a shrewd strategist. If Kumo wanted to provoke anything, Naruto's team might have to simply bite their tongues and take it at this point in time. As they reached the top of the mountain, the carriage came to a stop at the main gate of the village. Instead of 2 guards, there were 2 complete squads keeping watch, showing exactly how many ninja Kumo had to spare if they could use that many just to watch one entrance. As Ganma moved forward to get them all inside, Naruto elbowed Izumo and Kotetsu. "You guys getting gate envy here? Getting a familiar feeling?" Izumo shrugged Naruto off of them. "Very funny kid. There's nothing wrong with watching the gate. Someone has to do it." Naruto nodded. "Yeah, I know. I hope I never end up drawing that job. Gate watching is the D-rank mission of Chunin-level ninja." Kotetsu sighed. "You're telling me. I'd rather do border patrol than watch that gate one more time. I die inside a little every time I sit in that fucking booth. I think that thing sucks chakra or something." Izumo rolled his eyes. "Stop complaining. You're on a real mission now, so shut up. And look alive, you guys, here comes Ganma." Right on cue, Ganma came over and jumped back onto the carriage. "All right. We're going straight to the hotel they've booked for all of us, and then we'll get our marching orders from Elder Midokado when we get settled in." The 3 Chunin under his command nodded and set their usual position around the carriage as they made their way through town. Kotetsu and Izumo were no strangers to Kumo, having been there during the Chunin exams, but seeing that Naruto wasn't even looking around to get his bearing of the village. What they didn't know was that Danzo had all of his ninja memorize the general layout of all of the major shinobi villages, since none of them ever deviated from the basic plan that had been in place for certain villages since the Second Great Shinobi War, where Danzo got all of his information on the village layouts. Kotetsu tried to make conversation with the younger boy. "So Naruto, you've never been this far north before, have you? How are you dealing with the climate change?" Naruto had been that far north before, but he didn't need them to know what had happened the last time he was there. The less people that knew about that, the better. Seriously. Naruto kept a vigilant eye out as they walked the streets. They weren't safe until he was told to ease off by his commanding officer. "The climate isn't bad at all. It's not freezing cold out here, it's spring, so it's pretty good up here to me." Izumo gave a short glance over at Naruto. "Naruto, it's 50 degrees right now and you're wearing a sleeveless muscle shirt. You don't even have your vest on you. You're telling me you can't feel anything? At all?" Naruto shook his head. "Nope. And I do have the vest on me, it just isn't on right now. And it's not that cold up here. Man up, you're older than me and you're borderline bitching about a foreign climate." Izumo Mott glared at Naruto, which went largely ignored by the blonde Chunin as they made their way to the hotel. As per the course, Elder Midokado got a VIP suite and the other 4 were to share rooms. Izumo and Kotetsu, being the most familiar with one another, took one room, while Ganma and Naruto took another. As they all got themselves settled in the rooms, Naruto finished first, as he didn't have anything to check or unpack. "So Ganma, what are we doing first?" Ganma turned to Naruto and rolled the senbon in his mouth. "Well, we were told by Elder Midokado to accompany him to his first meeting with the Raikage." He saw Naruto stand up to prepare to leave. "By us I mean me, Kotetsu, and Izumo." Naruto's jaw dropped before he set his face in a stone-like form. "And I'm not going because..." Ganma sighed. He didn't hate Naruto, he actually liked the kid a lot. He was good. He had heard from others what the boy had done to Orochimaru's bodyguards when they came to extract Sasuke Uchiha, and he had to say that even he would have been hard-pressed to do as much. He actually fought them beforehand and lost. However, this was an order from the person that was the point of the mission. Hamura Midokado didn't want Naruto there, and Ganma's hands were kind of tied in this instance. "It's a command from our boss Naruto. It's not me, trust me." Naruto shook his head. What do I have to do for old goats like that to get it through their heads that I'm not a demon? If I was really a demon or some kind of monster, then I would have started killing them by now. Kami knows I'm strong enough. You've seen the Forest of Bone, right? Ganma nodded. Don't talk like that, kid. I can understand, but still. There are some things that you shouldn't say, especially to the higher-ranked person handing out the orders to you on this mission. Just calm down, get some rest. If we need you, we'll get you. Just think of this as some rest after the trip up here. Naruto ran his fingers through his hair. Alright, fine. You're right, I guess. I shouldn't have said that. I would never do anything like that to Konoha no matter what. I've already done too much for that place to let one old man get to me. Ganma stood up and prepared to get Hamura so that they could escort him to the meeting. Okay, kid, do you have any questions before I leave? Naruto nodded. Do you use the same Senbon for as long as you can, like until you kill somebody with it? Or do you just swap them out at regular intervals? Ganma's sweat dropped and made for the door. I'll see you later, Naruto, stay out of trouble. Naruto scoffed and flopped on his bed. Who do you think I am? What kind of trouble can I get into away from the meeting? He noticed Ganma hadn't shut the door and was standing in the doorway giving him a deadpan look. Naruto glared and pointed at him. Never mind. Don't answer that. A chuckle came from Ganma. Take it easy, kid. Don't do anything stupid while we're gone. Naruto yawned and waved him off as his Tokubetsu Jonin commander shut the door. Naruto rolled over and looked out the window. It's still the afternoon. There's no way in hell I'm staying in here until they all get back. The old bastard said I can't go to the meeting. He never said that I couldn't leave the hotel. Naruto grabbed the key Ganma left for him on the nightstand and slipped out the door to head to the street. Naruto yawned as he walked through the streets of Kumogakure. He didn't get too many odd looks just because he was a foreigner. He chalked that up to the fact that there were a lot of blonde people in Kumo, as opposed to in Konoha where only the Yamanaka clan and Tsunade had blonde hair. While he found it to be a decent waste of time to partake in looking around, Naruto wasn't too happy at the moment. I can't even train here. It's not like they'll let a foreign shinobi like me just use their training areas or anything. What am I supposed to do while I'm here then? He eventually ended up wandering over to a training field anyway, although it was by accident. While wandering about on the outskirts of the village, he found an open area bored out from the side of the mountain at least a mile wide. Inside he saw two ninja engaging in a spar and realized where he was. As he turned to leave, a cool-sounding voice came to his ears. This place is off limits to civilians. Naruto turned around slowly with a frown on his face. Well, if I see any civilians I'll be sure to let you know then. The girl noticed the Hideate attached to his belt. So we have a Konoha ninja spying on us, do we? Naruto sighed. God damn it. This is just what I was trying to avoid. Naruto placed his hands up in a placating fashion as he came face to face with the blonde girl a few years older than him. Her hair stopped roughly around shoulder length and like him she had blue eyes. She had a low-cut short skirt outfit with mesh armor underneath it, a short sword horizontally held on her lower back, and what appeared to be a modified Kumo flak jacket that simply wrapped around her stomach, and Naruto could see why it was like that, because her chest size was huge. Damn, she's only a bit older than me and… Don't stare, dumbass. You're already in deep shit as it is. Naruto, with much effort on his part, lifted his eyes to meet hers. Listen, I found this place by accident. I didn't even know it was a training field until I heard fighting sounds coming from directly behind you. I'll just turn around now and head back towards town, okay? I don't need any kind of BS right now. Samui. The blonde woman stated when she felt Naruto reaching for her name. You have me at a disadvantage right now. You know my name and yet I don't know yours. The two blondes kept passive eyes on one another, Naruto out of masking anything that might set a situation off, and Samui because that was just how she was. Deciding that diplomacy was the quickest course to getting out of Dodge, Naruto decided to satiate her with the information she requested. It's not like anyone knew him or anything. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I'm just here on a mission and was granted some downtime. I was wandering about, okay? No need to cause a ruckus. And tell your team that if they want to sneak up on me they need to do a better job of it. Naruto jerked his head in the direction of upraised craters, prompting two people to emerge from the area. One of them was a dark-skinned boy, also a few years older than Naruto, with spiky white hair, black eyes, gray pants, and a gray hoodie with the white Kumo flak jacket over it. Naruto could see a long katana on his back, signifying that he was at the very least a competent swordsman. Next to him was dark-skinned girl with amber eyes and long red hair. She had her hideate in a bandana, a gray short-sleeved long dress, the Kumo flak jacket, and a katana on her back. These were the two that he had seen sparring before he turned to leave. Apparently they went around to try and cut him off from leaving so easily. Naruto resisted the urge to slap his hand to his forehead. Can I go now? I kind of have to get back to my hotel before my team leader has to come out looking for me. The male of the team gave him an appraising look. Maybe he's going to report back on Kumo's secrets and just stumbled on us while he was making his escape? Naruto almost face fell at that. Great. Now I've got a guy that overanalyzes everything. This is what I needed right now. Yeah, right. Naruto could see the situation could unravel at any moment and just wanted to leave. Why did I leave the hotel room? Even when I'm not trying to start stuff, things like this happen. It's like I'm a magnet or something. The red-haired female noted the ninjato on his back. You have a sword. Maybe you were spying on our kenjutsu to take back to Konoha. Naruto's voice held a slight growl. You have a katana and I have a ninjato. It's shorter. Your style would be useless to me. Let me go already, damn it. He turned his glance to Samui, who was still looking at him with an unreadable expression. I've tried to be civil about this. Like I said, I just want to leave. But if you don't all back off of me, I'll move you myself. She bared her teeth at the boy. You think you can take on 3 Chunin? By yourself? I'd love to see you try. Naruto coiled his muscles. You're not going to let me go so easily, are you? Sigh, this is a waste of everyone's time. I have somewhere to be. I was just killing time. I'm on a mission. The calm boy nearby nodded in agreement. Yes, to spy on the inner workings of Kumogakure. Naruto had to slap his hand to his face this time. Alright, I don't care anymore, international incident or not. Either get the fuck out of my way and let me go back to my hotel, or I'm going to kick all of your asses, and then go back to my hotel. The dark-skinned girl was about to draw her sword when the Kumo blonde walked closer to Naruto and stayed her from attacking with a movement of her hand. Karui, Omoi, calm down. She looked the foreigner up and down. You have a very short fuse, do you know that? Naruto gave her a dry look. I'm getting the 3rd degree from people I don't know, telling me that I'm doing something that I'm not. And they won't leave me alone. Of course I have a temper, you're all pissing me off. He shrugged. I do actually want to train, but there's no way a foreign ninja here on a diplomatic mission is going to be able to get permission to use the training fields for no good reason. I guess I subconsciously carried myself here. I was just wandering around. Omoi pulled a sucker out of seemingly nowhere and put it in his mouth. What kind of diplomatic mission would a Konoha ninja be carrying out here? Naruto shrugged. How should I know? I'm just the muscle. The rest of my team are with the guy we're protecting. This brought the lifting of a dainty eyebrow from Samui. So you're a ninja sent here on a diplomatic mission from Konoha that just so happened to be let go from the rest of your group. That sounds somewhat familiar, doesn't it? Naruto let off a sweat drop. It did sound familiar, because that was basically what Kumo tried to pull on Konoha years ago when they came to negotiate a treaty. One of the diplomats attempted to obtain the Byakugan for their village by kidnapping Hinata in the middle of the night. It was the story that Miji told during the Chunin exams, and it almost resulted in another war when Konoha was still weak from the Kyuubi attack that had taken place 3 years prior. Do they really think this is some kind of revenge espionage kick? Naruto really just wanted to knock them all out and go about his business, but that would probably make things worse before it made them better. What do I have to do to make you all leave me alone? Seriously, I'm going to get in trouble if I stay here for too long without checking in. Omoi scratched his head and looked at his 2 female teammates. Maybe we should let the kid go. I mean, look at him, he doesn't seem dangerous at all. That scar is a nice touch, but he doesn't look like he can cause any kind of ruckus by himself, even if he was lying. Naruto resisted the urge to roll his eyes. Gaara's smaller than me and nobody says that shit about him. Everybody's on pins and needles around him. Why am I so short? Karui walked around Naruto, taking in his appearance. Just because he can't be anything more than a genin doesn't mean anything. Look at him and his gear. You don't just carry a sword around unless you're pretty good at using it. It doesn't work like that. I can see some outlines of scars on his body through his shirt too. He's dangerous all right. Samui spoke up. Maybe we should take him in just in case. The two others shrugged in agreement and Samui nodded as to confirm their plan of action. Naruto sucked his teeth. This was not what he needed to happen. One day in a foreign village that Konoha wasn't on the best terms with, and he already found himself in what could be a mess. It wasn't his fault, damn it. He didn't do anything. What are you all doing? All eyes turned towards the summit of the slope to see another blonde, this time significantly older than Naruto. He would estimate at least 7 years his senior in this case. Karui's eyes widened as she saw who it was, Yujido. We just found this Konoha ninja snooping around. We didn't know what he was doing here. Naruto scoffed. I told you already, damn it. I was wandering around and ended up here by accident. I'm not repeating myself again. What am I, a damn tape recorder? The woman known as Yujido looked down on the Konoha ninja that the 3 other Kumo Chunin had captured. Take him to the wreckage. Fuck. Fighting was now the stupidest thing he could do. He was wary back when it was 3 Chunin on just him. Now they were joined by someone that could actually give them orders, undoubtedly making them stronger than the others. Before he might have been able to simply kick their asses and maybe disappear until it was time to leave, he really doubted that Hamura would ever ask him along on guard duty anyway, but any kind of fight he engaged in here would be coming down on his head. Being sensible was the only option he could take. There was no room for crazy bullshit ideas to escape that only worked in movies. Fine, whatever. If this will clear everything up, then I'll go. Yujido nodded. Good choice. You couldn't have gotten away. She looked to the other Kumo ninja. Tie him up. Naruto had his hands bound behind his back by Omoi. This was too much for him, but again, fighting would have ended really badly for him even if he did end up winning. As the boy trailed some of the rope, he tied Naruto's hands without in front and began to walk and attempt to drag Naruto. He felt that there was too much slack in the rope. When he turned around, he saw the rope down on the ground and Naruto rubbing his wrists. Yujido narrowed her eyes as the younger Kumo nin all got into ready stances. Naruto looked at them all coldly. What? It's not my fault he can't tie a knot that I can't break. I've taken your bullshit without kicking your asses. I'm going with you to see your wreckage so he can prove why I'm here, and I'm taking it all in stride. But if you think that you're tying me up and parading me through town like a trophy, then you can all go fuck yourselves, Burstenlich. Karui took offense to Naruto's tone. You're not in Konoha. You can't just do as you like here, you know? Naruto crossed his arms across his chest. You're damn right I'm not in Konoha. If I was in Konoha, I would have just beaten your asses the second I knew you weren't going to leave me alone and left you here. I didn't know tying up random foreigners was big in Kumo, but anyway, you can take me in right now as I am. Hell, I'll probably head over myself to complain about you, seeing as how I can't do anything myself, or else I'll start a war. Sick of standing around talking to a brick wall, also known as Kumo Ninja, Naruto maneuvered his way through the Chunin around him and stalked up the slope to the top of the mountain. As he reached the top, he spared a glance at the oldest Kumo kunoichi, Yujido. Not really able to understand, he felt some kind of familiarity with her. Huh. So that's what happened to Nibi. Naruto blinked in confusion as he was now being escorted to the wreckage tower by the Kumo contingent. This was the first thing that Kyubi had said to him today, and of course it had to be confusing. Kyubi, what are you talking about? Nibi? Naruto felt the effects of a phantom slap on the back of his head. Kid, don't you remember when Danzo briefed you on the other Jinchuriki back when you were en route? Naruto's eyes widened in understanding. Oh, yeah. I forgot. Flashback, 6 years ago, Naruto age 7. Naruto had finished Danzo's training regiment 1 year ago and had been running through the paces of what Danzo had demanded of him, in addition to a few missions close to Konoha that had him staying in Hino Kuni. Currently, however, Danzo was planning on sending Naruto to Kuminari no Kuni, and if the shit hit the fan while he was there, he needed to know exactly what it was he would be up against. Seated in Danzo's office, he was looking over the table at the man that trained him. So Danzo Gigi, What do I need to know before I leave? Danzo flinched at the Danzo-jiji that had come from the young operative. Even after roughly 3 years of conditioning, he couldn't break that little facet of Naruto that was so expressive. However, contrary to Danzo's not-so-old beliefs, it didn't make him any less effective. He handed Naruto a folder that, when opened, revealed pictures of two people. The first was a blonde teenage girl that was significantly older than Naruto. The second was a heavily muscled dark-skinned man with sunglasses and pale blonde slicked-back hair. Naruto shrugged in his chair as he resisted the inexplicable urge that all children had to swing their feet when they were dangling off of the ground like his currently were. I don't get it. Who are they? Am I supposed to kill them, Danzo-jiji? Naruto wouldn't have been surprised if Danzo was sending him on another assassination mission. The man seemed to love testing Naruto's skills in that department. His last 3 missions had been to kill a certain person. Danzo would have chuckled if he wasn't trying to keep such a stoic facade. Oh Kami, no. I've invested too much time into you to let you go off and get torn to shreds by them. You're not ready for them, Naruto. Not yet, at least. Just give it some time and you'll be more than a match for either one of them. But right now, consider them your biggest threats. The place I'm sending you to for your next mission won't hesitate to dispatch one of them to kill you if they are alerted to your presence. Naruto blocked a yawn. Danzo-jiji's briefings were so boring. Yeah. Danzo-jiji, just tell me where I'm going and what I'm doing and I'll be back in the compound in a week. Danzo slammed his usable hand on the table, leaving an imprint. Damn it, boy, listen to me. Naruto cringed. Even though it didn't happen much, when Danzo got angry it meant that there was good reason for it. Naruto lowered his head. Sorry, Danzo-sama. I'll be silent now. Danzo looked at Naruto blankly and nodded before continuing to make his point. I'm not doubting your skill, Naruto. I'm positive that if I had you fight a student in Sarutobi's academy today, you could wipe the floor with every single one of them effortlessly, same for all of his genin as well. However, these people are beyond your level because not only are they the true elites of Kyumogakure, they share your burden. Naruto's eyes widened. They're Jinchuriki too? Danzo nodded. Jinchuriki, Naruto-kun, not G-Jin-. And yes, they are. The girl is Yuji-Doni, 14 years old, Jonin, and container of the Nibi no Nikomata, the two-tailed monster cat. The man is Kirabi, also known as Killer Bee of the Yatsuki clan. This one is the most dangerous of the two. His brother became the Raikage after the Hyuga incident a few years ago and he is known as the Guardian of Kyumo. Naruto took a glance at the pictures. So you know who Kyumo's Jinchuriki are? Do they know who I am? Danzo shook his head. You, my boy, are a pretty well kept secret. Because no one can openly talk about the fact that you house the Kyubi in public, that has made it so that the information could not slip to any visitors with a penchant for eavesdropping. Add on to that the fact that you rarely go out in public and it's like you barely even exist to the world. You only appear enough for people to not question where you are too often, but I digress. Both are far more experienced than you and are capable of using vastly more of their tenants chakra than you are currently capable of handling with your prepubescent body, even though you train to utilize it effectively. Naruto looked down at that. One of Danzo's conditions for training him was that he had to demonstrate sufficient use of the Kyubi's chakra. While he could form a chakra shroud, he still didn't have any skills that he could use alongside it other than highly improved speed, strength, and reflexes. Naruto-kun. Naruto looked up to see Danzo shaking his head. I was never expecting you to show complete mastery over it at such a young age. Still, I expect results in the future. However, in the meantime, if you run across either of these two on your mission, I want you to abort immediately. This mission is not worth losing one of my prized investments, understood? Naruto nodded. Okay, Danzo-jiji. I'll stay away from these guys. End flashback. So this is that Yujido person. I wonder if I could beat her now if we ever fought. Naruto looked her over. She looked very strong and confident in her ability. He wondered if she sensed that he was a Jinchuriki like herself the way he had just a moment ago. Naruto panned his eyes over to her. Now that he was close, he could tell that her eyes were somewhat reminiscent of a cat. She caught him looking at her, forcing him to avert his gaze ahead as the tower came into sight. Naruto, guided by his guards, strode into the ground floor of the tower. As they entered, Naruto smirked as he saw Izumo and Kotetsu seated on a couch by the stairs leading up. He whistled over in their direction to get their attention. At seeing the blonde corralled by the group of Kumonin, the men hopped to their feet ready to defend their little buddy. Naruto, what happened? Naruto shook his head. This is one paranoid place. I found a training field by accident and got accused of spying, and it's not like I can kick their asses or I'll be the one in trouble. Kotetsu was ready to start something over the young blonde Shunin. He got enough bullshit back in Konoha. He didn't need it here too. Did they do anything to hurt you? Naruto shook his head. They were about to tie me up. But if they had pushed the issue with it, then all bets would have been off and we would have been fighting. He looked around. Where's Ganma? Izumo pointed up. Ganma's with Elder Midokado. He's speaking with the Raikage advisors right now. Samui pushed Naruto forward. So the Raikage is free. Good, we can settle this now. Naruto slapped the girl's hands off of him. Hands off. I'd say that this settles what I'm doing here. I mean, this is my team after all. But if you want to continue to make obsessive asses out of yourselves, then by all means, let's go. With that, they all went up the stairs and stopped in front of a secretary's desk. After a short word with the woman there, they all entered the office of the most powerful man in the country. A massive man seated behind the desk in his traditional Kage robes looked up from whatever was on his desk. Yujido. Samui, Omoi, Karui. What are you all doing here surrounding this Konoha ninja? Karui pushed Naruto forward, causing him to glare back at the girl. You're so lucky that this guy would kill me before I could even get a shot off edgewise, or I would backhand you right here, right now. Omoi shook his head at Karui's upfront abuse of the kid. Samui sighed at her teammate's brash action. Raikage-sama, we found this Konoha ninja overlooking one of our training sessions. Being that we are trained by Karabi-sensei, we figured he may be trying to steal some of Kumo's hidden techniques, so we elected to escort him here. Naruto snorted. If by escort you mean give me an ultimatum to either fight all of you and get my ass thrown in prison for sure, or be dragged through town like a goddamned prisoner of war, then yes, you escorted me here. The Raikage shot his eyes to Naruto. Despite the physically imposing size of the man, Naruto still wouldn't give him any tells that he was actually intimidated. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? They kill him? The Raikage rubbed his white mustache. I am the Yandame Raikage of Kumogakure. My name is a boy. What is your name? Naruto looked at the man in the eye. Naruto Uzumaki, Shunin of Konohagakure no Sato, ninja registration number 012607. Raised his hand to stop him from talking. Enough, Uzumaki-san. What are you doing in my village? Are you conducting espionage under the guise of a diplomatic mission? Naruto sighed. No, Raikage-sama. I was bored, so I walked around the village and came across a training field. I tried to leave immediately, but by the time I realized where I was, your ninja had seen me and accused me of spying. I gave him a stern look. And were you? Naruto flicked his ninjato on his back. I couldn't use your style anyway. Honestly, I got lost on the road of life. Meanwhile, in Konohagakure, Kakashi turned his attention from the memorial stone to look up at the sky. Kakashi uncharacteristically pumped his fist in the air in victory. Yes. I've finally got one of them. Back in Kumogakure. Naruto felt a shiver go down his spine. I just made someone very happy just now. Going off in his own world for just a moment, he was asking himself what he could have done to warrant such a feeling. Eventually, the Kumo ninja noticed his lack of attentiveness at the current proceedings. Karui walked up and poked the boy on the shoulder. Hey, listen to Raikage-sama. I don't know how things are done in Konoha, but here we listen to what our Kage has to say. This did nothing to spur Naruto from his line of thought. Hello, Kumogakure. Slapped his hand to his forehead. The man has no sense of timing, I swear. The doors to the office were blasted open as an exact copy of the photo Naruto had been briefed on in his adolescence burst through the doors. He walked past everyone in the office and right up to the Raikage's desk. Yo, big bro. Hachibi-sama is back from his latest mission. A's eyebrow twitched as he watched his little brother, who had a massive grin on his face. Karabi. I'm happy to hear that, but could you have waited until I was done before you came in? The man in question scoffed. Waiting out in the hall is for chumps. You're saying I'm less important than one of these lumps? He turned around and saw his team standing and looking on with sweat drops on their heads. Hey students of mine. Is my big bro giving you your daily shine? Yujiro sighed and walked forward. They came across a suspicious Konoha ninja and brought him here. He's standing right next to you. Naruto had moved directly out of the path of the desk the second he heard the door bust open and simply watched from the side. This guy is worse than I was when I was sealed. Karabi turned his attention to the young boy next to him, making Naruto somewhat uncomfortable because the man was towering over him looking directly down. After a moment Karabi stuck his fist out. How you doing, Mr. 9? Naruto blinked in place before slowly sticking out his own fist and tapping it against Karabi's. Samui pointed at Naruto after hearing what Karabi called him. Karabi-sensei, his name is Naruto Uzumaki, not Mr. 9. Yujiro shook her head. He wasn't referring to just a simple name, he was referring to the tailed beast that he has within him. Naruto sighed and shook his head. Thanks for that, because I really needed everyone in the room to have another reason to be suspicious of me. Noticing that all eyes in the room were on him, he grunted in affirmation. Fine, alright. Since I'm stuck here, Yujiro knew already, and Hachibi guy over here busted me out anyway, I guess I'll tell you. Karabi stomped his foot childishly on the ground as Naruto thought about the best way to go about speaking. Somehow his thought process was uninterrupted by the large man's ranting about how it was Hachibi-sama and not Hachibi guy, as Naruto had put it. Eventually he figured the best way to explain himself to the room of people and tuned into Karabi's rant that he figured was directed at him when he noticed that he was looking at him, and that everyone else looked like they wanted to strangle the Hachibi Jinchuriki for not shutting up. Naruto, however, had not been listening to a single word that had been said and was forced to say the only thing he could in this situation. I'm sorry, did you say something? Another shiver went down his spine. I'm making someone's day right now. The silence permeating the room after that was unnerving. What? The stares from everyone around him was starting to piss him off. What the hell is wrong with you all? Did I say something wrong? Omoi pointed lamely at the blonde boy. Why you ignored him? Karui followed up. No one ever does that, ever. Getting tired of the odd looks he was getting and seeing his opportunity to leave staring him right in the face, he began to slink towards the exit. Okay, well, if anyone still wants to speak to me in a less hostile environment, I will be staying at the hotel that the Konoha dignitary is in. Goodbye. By the time he made it back to his hotel room, it was nightfall and Naruto was not looking forward to getting his butt chewed out by Gunma once he caught wind of what had gone down today. As he entered the room, he saw Gunma laying back on his bed seemingly relaxing. Have a good time out there? Naruto glared half-heartedly as he sat on his own bed. Whatever Izumo and Kotetsu told you, I would just like to say that it was 100% not my fault. Gunma chuckled. Now do you get what I meant when I told you to stay out of trouble? You're like a magnet for stuff like this, kid. I've read your file. The stuff you did in 1 year as a ninja most people don't get close to touching until their 3rd year at least. Just the sheer amount of troublesome situations you get yourself into could have been stretched out to 2 years when compared to someone else. It's no wonder you're strong. If you were weak you'd have died after the first incident. Naruto lay his head back on a pillow. I almost got into a fight with 3 Kumo ninja today that accused me of spying. Me. If I wanted to spy on them, they never would have known about it. He turned serious. They know about me and the Kyuubi. Ganma's sunbon fell from his mouth. Are you sure? How could they find out about it? Naruto looked up at the ceiling blankly as he spoke. I met both of Kumo's Jinchuriki today. Both of them could sense that I was one too, and they called me on it in front of the Reikage. Ganma bit his lip. That's not good. They might use that in negotiations tomorrow. Naruto gave him an odd look. Who cares if they spread it around that I'm Konoha's Jinchuriki? Yes, it's a shame that the secret finally got out, but hey, 13 years is a long time to keep a secret like that from the majority of the world. Tell old man Hamura not to worry about it too much. Tell him to act like it doesn't bother Konoha that the secret is out. Honestly, it doesn't bother me. Ganma gave the boy an odd look. So you don't really care that your entire generation will learn that you house the Kyuubi? Not even if they turn away from you or hate you for it? Naruto gave a bored look to him. I've already alluded to 2 people at least, that I have the Kyuubi in me. The second the news comes out, things will be clearer to a whole lot of people. Hell, I may just ask Tsunade-bachan to just flat out tell everyone in the whole village. I mean, what do I have to lose? No one my age can kill me if they do take the news wrong, and it couldn't make the adults feel any differently about me, could it? They already knew, and however they treated me beforehand wouldn't change if the news was open for everyone to know. Ganma shook his head. You're a ballsy kid. Naruto smirked, so I'm told. The next day, Naruto was sitting on the roof of the hotel meditating. Since he was once again prevented from accompanying Hamura to the meeting like the rest of his team and he couldn't actively train, he took it upon himself to meditate and get more in touch with what he liked to call, much to the Kyuubi's chagrin, his furry side. Inside his head he found himself in the familiar bedroom of his apartment and went searching for his giant demon of destruction. Looking outside he saw the massive fox sunning itself of all things. Shaking his head he made his way down and cleared his throat to get the Kyuubi's attention. The demon cracked open one eye to look at its jailer. Are you serious? I gave you free rein to create stuff to hunt, do whatever you want with my mindscape citizens, wreck any of the buildings in here that you want, basically to blow up anything and everything you want, and you're sleeping? Kyuubi yawned as it lifted its massive head to look at Naruto properly. Mortal, as fun as it was destroying your mindscape Konoha over and over again, the fact that it rebuilds itself kind of takes some of the luster out of the carnage. I mean, as great as it is to slaughter wave after wave of defenders, seeing the entire place rebuild 2 hours after you've eradicated the place of any and all signs of life kind of irks you after a while. Naruto's sweat dropped. Okay, the reason I came. How do you think I stack up against the Kumo Jinchuriki? Kyuubi didn't think on it. The female would be a tough match for you, but you could defeat her without activating the Kitsune trigger. She doesn't have enough control over Nibi to keep her mind state stable during the fight. It would be far more difficult than your fight against Chikaku, but you would still win. The Hachibi container, on the other hand, would destroy you, no question. He has full access to his Biju's chakra and perfect control over it. Even if you activated the Kitsune trigger or went to your limit of my chakra that you could use, he would go straight to 8 tails and tear you apart. Do not fight him, ever, no matter what. Naruto grumbled, I still can't win. I've got to be the worst Jinchuriki in the elemental nations. I might as well be a regular person for all the good that using your chakra does me. This guy has full control and all I can handle right now is 3 tails worth without going insane with bloodlust. Naruto had tried pushing himself to his absolute limit a few days before leaving on this mission. He cleared it with Tsunade first and went deep inside the forest of death in case things got too tense. Good thing he did too, because he flipped out at 4 tails and went on a rampage, slaughtering any animal stupid enough to try and take down the boy. He didn't remember how he settled down, but he did smell the presence of one of Tsunade's umbu after he woke up. Kyuubi sighed and snorted, blowing Naruto back a few feet. You are far from a weak container kit. The other Jinchuriki have natural advantages over you due to the amount of time they have had with their demons. You are 13 years old, have been training to utilize my chakras since you were 5, and were forced to stop at the age of 8 for over 4 years. To get full mastery over 3 tails of my chakra in technically 4 years of training is a feat that I don't think any other Jinchuriki can claim to make since they began training around the same age if not older than when you began. Naruto nodded to the 9-tailed demon, so anything you need while I'm here? Anything you want me to tweak about my mindscape? Kyuubi batted its tails lazily, other than saying that I want you to release your memories so I can watch your old missions. No, not really. Get out of here, Kit. Rolling his eyes, Naruto grumbled that it was his mind, bringing a fanged grin to the fox's face before the blonde faded from his mind. Naruto suddenly reached out and grabbed a hand that was reaching for his face. Don't do that, please. He opened his eyes to find the team from yesterday looking at him with the red-haired girl's hand in his grasp. What are you guys doing here? Is meditation against the law for visitors now too? Karui ripped her hand from his grasp. Why did Kirabi-sensei tell us to come and find this guy and talk to him? He doesn't seem special at all. Omoi walked up and looked at Naruto, who was still seated on the roof. Didn't you hear yesterday? Kirabi-sensei and Yujito said that he has a demon in him like they do. I'm really glad he didn't try to fight us yesterday, or we might be in the hospital right now. Naruto wanted to get up and walk away. He saw nothing good coming out of this, when Samui, the blonde girl around his age, spoke. We would like to spar with you, Uzumaki-san. Naruto let a small smile cross his face. Oh ho, so you remember my name from yesterday, do you? Naruto looked at the three Kumo ninja. Fine, I'll fight you. We need to go somewhere where I won't get in trouble for any collateral damage though. They all nodded and led Naruto off away from the village. As they exited the gates and noticed how no one moved to stop them, while in Konoha he would have needed permission to leave, but these people could leave whenever they wanted. After heading over and around the numerous mountain ranges surrounding the village, Naruto brought this up. Hey, why can you guys just leave whenever you want? If it was me, then I would have Hunter Ninja on my ass before I reached the next town. Of course that may partly be because I'm a Jinchuriki. Omoi answered for him. We're trained by Karabi-sensei. He doesn't live in the village, and when we were genin he got sick of having to come and get us every day for training, so he got us permission to leave of our own will, mostly so we could come to him instead of him coming to us. Naruto nodded. So where are we going anyway? We have to be at least 15 miles out by now. We're almost there. We're heading to where Karabi-sensei lives and trains. Unreikyo, Valley of Clouds and Lightning. Omoi pointed down as they reached the summit of another mountain. It was a relatively large place, with a series of tall peaks coming out of a large body of water. All four ninjas slipped down the slope to the water below and stood on the surface as Naruto took note of the environment. This is a really nice place. Your sensei lives here? I really like the looks of this place. Nearby, Naruto saw what looked like a mountain peak that was cleaved to make some flatland for training. After they all reached the platform, Naruto shook his shoulders out and looked at the three who were looking at him intently. So how are we doing this? Is it one-on-one, or are you all coming at me at the same time? The team looked between each other at him. Samui gave him a strange look. Do you really believe you can take us all at the same time? Naruto gave her a deadpan look and slipped into a taijutsu stance. No, I just said that because I'm a masochist and getting my ass beat is how I get my jollies. Of course I think I can, or I wouldn't have said it. And because you took so long, I'm not giving you the option. Come at me, all of you. Give me your best shot. Give me your best shot. Naruto stood in a reactive stance, awaiting any kind of action from the team of Kumo Chunin. The looks on their faces ranged from deep thought, to rage and offense, to no visible reaction. Naruto sighed. If you don't come to me, I'll come to you, and trust me, that's the last thing any of you want. Karui growled at him. Who do you think you are? What makes you think you're so goddamned better than us? That Konoha is the strongest hidden village stuff is bullshit. Naruto blinked in confusion. That's not it at all. I don't think I'm better than you, I just want a serious challenge. Samui kept her impassive eyes on Naruto. What do you mean? One-on-one is enough of a battle for you, isn't it? Naruto chuckled. I'm sick of one-on-one fights. I haven't had a good fight where the odds were against me in years, and you all look like a fantastic team. This is a perfect time to see whether or not I still have the stuff that I used to be made of back in the day, but that's another story for another time. Omoi's eyes widened. What do you mean, what you used to be made of? You're just a chunin, and you're younger than us. How many situations could you have been in that pitted you against multiple opponents by yourself? Naruto shook his head. There are some things that are better off left locked away. You don't need to know that, and hopefully you'll never find out. But put it this way, I have a minimum of 9S rank shinobi planning on coming for my ass, and they travel in pairs. I need to get used to fighting a bunch of people at once, and this is the best place to start, so bring it on already. After a moment they still didn't attack. Shaking his head, Naruto reached into his pack, putting them all on guard. Before he acted, a smirk adorned his features. You're all going to make this way too easy. He quickly threw a smoke bomb to the ground, enshrouding himself and masking his movements. A massive shuriken flew from the smoke, forcing all of Team Samui to dodge accordingly. In the middle of their evasive actions, 3 Narutos flew from the smoke and began engaging each of the team members separately. Omoi drew his katana and began clashing blades with one of the Narutos. He can make solid bunshin? Which one is the real him? Omoi then took a hit to the face when Naruto freed one of his hands from the blade and shifted to one side. As Omoi jumped back and rubbed his face, he looked at a smirking Naruto. I really hope this is the real one, because if this is one of his clones. Karui attacked instead of defended once she engaged her Naruto in Kenjutsu. She was amazed at how fast he was. He was only using his sword to defend and was simply hitting her when she was open. She couldn't get a mark on him so far, it was making her angry, and that was what made her easy to defend against as far as Naruto was concerned. Omoi, how are you doing against yours? Omoi looked to her and ended up eating a boot to his stomach for his troubles. After rolling back on the ground from the force of the kick, he spit on the soil and spared her a momentary glance before refocusing. Just great, can't you tell? I'm just letting him beat my ass all over the valley. Karui dodged one of her Naruto's punches and forced him to back off with a wild slash, intending to cleave his arm off. Samui, what about you? Samui didn't answer as she was currently engaged in a deadly dance with the Naruto she was currently fighting. Samui's sword was so short that her Naruto wanted equal sport, and instead of drawing his ninjato drew dual kunai and fought her like that. Samui was amazed at just how strong the boy was. He was absurdly stronger than her. It took almost all of her own strength to keep just from sliding backwards when she blocked one of his strikes, and she wanted nothing more than to visibly wince and cringe whenever she blocked one of his attacks that used both of his arms. His size truly belied his actual physical presence. He was shorter than her, and his muscles hadn't looked like they had much power, until he actually used them, and then every single muscle fiber, every facet of his definition came out for her to see when he tensed up to block or attack. She let out a short gasp as Naruto kicked her in the ribs and sent her flying back. Her trajectory ended up sending her right into her fellow female teammate, hard enough to throw her to the ground as well. Omoi broke off from fighting his version of Naruto and jumped to the side of his teammates while they picked themselves up and cleared the cobwebs. Karui coughed up a little blood as she stood up. Okay. So this guy really can fight all of us at the same time and do pretty well. He can use solid clones, and I can't tell which one is the real one. We can't even hit one of them to find out. Samui dusted herself off. Until we can destroy one, we're at a disadvantage. One of us should try to keep the attention of two while the rest of us double team the other. After we defeat one of them, we can rush to help the remaining member and turn this into a 3-on-2 fight. Karui set her katana in a Batajutsu stance right then. I'll be the distraction, you two just hurry up and finish your target quick before these guys kick my ass. With that, she ran at the three Narutos with a battle cry. She separated them with one swing, sending two in one direction and sending the last one off in another direction. As the last clone landed from his dodge, he had to do so again when Samui called out her jutsu, Raitan, Hagain no Tsubasa, lightning release, wings of steel. Samui swung her sword and sent out a wave of electric energy at one of the many nearby peaks. Her jutsu caused a rock slide intent of crushing Naruto. The blonde was forced to jump off of the platform and evade on top of the water as chunks of rock smashed all around him. However, dodging the absurd amount of rocks allowed Omoi to get close enough to cut into Naruto while he was focused on dodging. As he cut into Naruto and watched his pupils shimmer, Naruto burst into smoke. Omoi popped a sucker into his mouth and made his way back to Samui. That was a clone, the real one is with Karui, we need to get over there. Samui nodded and the two rushed back across the landmass to assist their red-haired teammate. As they arrived, they saw that she had gotten rid of one clone and was fighting the one remaining Naruto, but was taking a beating. He had long since sheathed his blade after Karui had somehow lost hers. It was sticking out of the ground a good distance away. Karui was trying in vain to match blows with Naruto but was taking a somewhat lopsided beating. Naruto was no longer simply dodging and countering, he was coming right at her, and with the speed advantage he had over her, he was taking sniping shots at her, pushing right through any guard she could put up. No mercy just because she was a girl, he knew that a woman could flatten him just as fast as any male could. Hurrying to the scene of the fight, Samui went to retrieve her sword while Omoi went in to bail her out of trouble directly. Naruto backed away after a slash from Omoi got him to leave Karui alone. Omoi helped her steady herself, all the while keeping his eyes dialed on Naruto. Karui, are you alright? Karui gave him a weak smile. I killed one of the bastards, but I think that just pissed him off. Samui arrived alongside them and handed Karui her katana back. I needed this. She righted herself and stood on her own power. This guy isn't even using his demon's chakra and he's been beating the crap out of us. He wouldn't go that far in a spar, right? Samui held out her short blade. He shouldn't, but it shouldn't matter. Karabi-sensei has used the Hachibi's chakra against us and he is far more powerful than Uzumaki. Naruto must have heard this and taken offense to it because he immediately came rushing in, ninjato drawn back for an attack. Samui took the brunt of the attack as she stepped out and defended for her team while Karui and Omoi flanked him and attempted to cut into him. Naruto let one hand off of his sword and drew a kunai to block the two other Kyumo-nin's blades. Currently stuck in a deadlock, it amazed all of Team Samui how this boy was able to hold all three of them off all by himself at the same time. As the sliding of metal was the prevalent noise in the valley, a low hissing noise could be heard. Omoi immediately knew what the sound was, but he couldn't believe it. No. No way. No one's that insane. Naruto grinned maniacally as on the front of his shirt there was an explosive note, burned almost all the way through. His grinning face mouthed the word boom as Omoi and Karui stopped their attack on Naruto and rushed to relieve Samui from Naruto's attack, pulling her away and sprinting swiftly from him as a massive explosion rang out, engulfing Naruto and shocking his opponents. Karui's eyes widened as the flames died down, leaving a small scorch mark on the ground. He blew himself up. Omoi had bitten down on his sucker and spat out the stick. This guy is crazy. Even if that was some kind of trick, that explosion was real, he could have blown himself up. Samui kept her eyes peeled for anything, not believing the fight was over just like that. There was no way it was that easy. Who blows themselves up in a spar anyway? No, he was still around, but where? Chuckles were projected throughout the valley as all three members were looking frantically for Naruto. Congratulations. You beat my team of Kage Bunshin. Panting came from the team as they craned their necks about, trying to identify where Naruto was. They had just been beaten down by mere Kage Bunshin, not even with the real one mixed within. He hadn't even shown himself since the fight started. They all went back to back in order to search more effectively, but still could find nothing. Karui yelled out, hoping to get him to expose himself, "Come out and fight us, you coward." After a second his voice was heard again, "Now why would I want to do a thing like that? It's 3-on-1. Who attacks head-on when it's 3-on-1? Besides, it's a ninja's job to fight from the shadows. While I myself enjoy a good fight every now and then, I love it when my opponents never see me coming just as much. It means I'm actually doing my job the right way." The valley went silent once more as a subtle amount of killing intent washed over them from Naruto. Not enough for them to choke on, but enough to make them believe that if they couldn't find him they would pay dearly for it. In other words, just enough to make them panic. Doton, Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, Earth Release, Inner Decapitation Skill. Naruto's hands burst from the ground between all of them and latched onto Karui and Omoi's legs while Samui got away. He only had two hands after all. He swiftly dragged them underground up to their heads. When Samui saw her teammates both temporarily taken out of commission, she ran over to free them until Naruto burst from the ground right by them. Omoi wriggled, trying to get free. "When did you place yourself underground?" Naruto frowned at them. People are pretty predictable in fights. Whenever there's a definite center of the fighting area, people love taking the center of it. I set the jutsu up the moment I made clones in the smokescreen. All I had to do was wait for you to beat them all because I knew you'd take the center of our platform while you looked for me afterwards. He kneeled down and patted Karui on the head, pulling his hand back before she bit him. "I should pat myself on the back. I've never even been here before and I was still able to use the terrain to my advantage in order to manipulate the battle." Karui smirked at him. "We're not done. Raiton, Enrya Jizaitai, Lightning Release, Body of Electric Flow." The ground around herself and Omoi loosened up as they burst from their place and attacked Naruto, not even bothering to use their swords. Omoi went low with a sliding kick while Karui ran at Naruto high, lariat. She lashed out at Naruto with her entire arm, attempting to take out his head with her bicep. Naruto took a chance and ducked low, launching himself at Omoi, leading with the crown of his head, crashing into the boy's face as he slid towards him. The two rolled forward with Omoi landing on his feet and Naruto ending up on his back, holding onto one of Omoi's arms. While he held a grip on the white-haired boy, pulling him in as he shot an upkick at his face, nailing him right under the chin. Omoi stumbled back, but Naruto kicked up off of his back high into the air to deliver a falling haymaker to Omoi's face before he could recover. Naruto knew that he had hit Omoi perfectly on that shot as he felt the boy go limp the second he made contact, one down. Karui went back to where they had burst from the ground and tried to retrieve her sword until a sharp kick to her back sent her flying on her face. Naruto was simply standing guard by the hole with the swords in them until Samui re-entered the fight. Her short sword cut him on his arm, forcing him to curse himself for not being more attentive to his surroundings. He was fighting multiple opponents after all. Samui wasn't allowing him to reach for his kunai to fight back like he did before, so it was a strictly dodging game for the boy. He grimaced sharply as shuriken embedded themselves in his back, and that painful distraction led to him taking a cut across his chest before he could back away. Naruto got some space and got the two girls in his sights, sighing as he dabbed at the slash on his chest. "I like this shirt. Why do my shirts always get cut to ribbons when I fight people with swords and sharp things?" Shrugging to himself when he didn't receive a response, he saw Karui moving for her katana again. Seeing Samui move to watch her back while she went for it, a little misdirection was called for in this circumstance. Naruto made 7 Kage Bunshin and handed off kunai from his own pouch to them all. 3 of the Kage Bunshin chucked the weapons at Samui, forcing her to dodge aside while the other 4 threw them at Karui, who took refuge in the hole with her sword in it. She smirked as she re-emerged, but the smirk died when she saw the sadistic one gracing Naruto's face. Both girls saw him attempting a string of hand signs. When Samui went to intercept him, his clones cut her off at the pass and forced her to defend herself instead of her red-haired teammate. Meanwhile, Naruto finished his hand signs: Raiton, Denkai, Lightning Release, Electric Field. "You're stuck." Karui tried to escape the electric prison and yelped as bolts of electricity flew through her body when she touched the edge of the barrier. She looked over and saw Naruto's clones, who honestly couldn't engage Samui for long in direct combat, keeping her on her toes and preventing her from stopping Naruto, who had to remain stationary while holding the final hand sign. Naruto whistled sharply to Karui to get her attention away for attempts to escape. "I can make this jutsu much nastier with 5 more hand signs. You should give up now before I decide to just use the branch techniques I have from here. This is checkmate for you." Karui reluctantly conceded defeat and Naruto dropped the jutsu to allow her to go to the unconscious Omoi so they could leave the immediate area and allow Naruto to fight Samui alone. Naruto got back in his taijutsu stance and watched Samui do the same. "I could ask you to surrender now, but I won't. You know by now not to hold back on me, so I'll skip that part. Let's get right to the fighting, shall we?" Raiton, Raikyu, Lightning Release, Lightning Ball. Samui quickly gathered lighting chakra in her hands and launched an electric orb at Naruto. The defending blonde quickly made hand signs, held the last seal, and stomped his foot on the ground. Futon, Fujikidai Cabe, Wind Release, Wind Repel Wall. A spherical wave of wind came from Naruto's body in all directions, forcing Samui's jutsu to dissipate. Naruto came rushing in head-on to attack her. Samui drew her short blade once again, ready to test herself against the real Naruto this time. His rush was so basic she timed her first swing in conjunction with the speed he was running at, timing it for just when he got into her range. With a smirk on his face, Naruto pushed wind chakra from the front of his body to immediately halt himself just outside of the range of her longest swing. Stopping on a dime the way he did, it was too late for her as she had put everything into the one clean shot she thought she was going to get. This left her dangerously overexposed and off balance, allowing her to disarm her and flip her to the ground. She tried to start another jutsu, but Naruto jumped over her prone body while in the air and linked his fists together before thrusting them out. "We're done." Futon, Fujin Seiken, Wind Release, Divine Fist of the Wind God. Samui uncharacteristically screamed in pain as she felt a crushing pressure push down on her form from above, locking her in place and forming a shallow crater the shape of Naruto's linked fists and the size of 2 human bodies. As the force subsided, she coughed up blood and stayed in place as she found a knee situated on her belly and a kunai to her throat. As she looked up at Naruto with cold blue eyes, she found him looking down at her with the same. Sighing, she finally spoke, "I yield. You win." Naruto's eyes lit up as he smiled and helped her to her feet. By now Karui and Omoi were able to get up and had made their way over to the other two. Karui rubbed her arm and looked away sheepishly. Damn, we barely even scratched the real you. How did you beat us like that? Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. When I was little I was trained to be an assassination specialist in addition to heavy combat, which was my main focus. This is the kind of thing that I'm good at. I didn't even use many of my higher profile ninjutsu because they're really dangerous and are intended to scar and kill. Omoi gave Naruto a goofy grin. I couldn't even come up with a strategy to use against you fast enough. You were too good at disguising your movements, so I couldn't come up with a real idea that could flush you out. When you were out in the open you were all over us. Samui walked close to Naruto, putting him somewhat on guard. Hey, no one likes it when people suddenly walk up on you. After a moment she gave him a small smile. We really need to work, don't we? You beat us so easily you didn't leave any doubt about the outcome, didn't you? Naruto sighed. If it was a real fight instead of a spar you would have all attacked me when the fight started instead of underestimating me, and that would have made the bout more interesting and closer. I'm not saying you would have won, but this still helped me out. From experience, S-rank ninja are somewhat arrogant, even to other S-ranked ninja, and they probably would have done the same thing that you did. Whoa! Mr. 9, I have to say, that battle of yours sure made my day. Naruto involuntarily twitched as a familiar voice from yesterday rang out from the peaks surrounding their ring. Naruto turned to Samui with a slightly perturbed look. Ugh. I knew he was watching this the entire time. I could feel him. Why is he here? Samui raised an eyebrow at the actions of the one who had just defeated her entire team. Omoi already told you. Karabi-sensei lives here. It's not that hard to believe that he saw the fight. His home is right there. Samui pointed up at the house that was seemingly dangling from one of the peaks. Karabi shined next to all of the younger ninja and clapped Naruto on the shoulder. I had to pinch myself like some kind of dream. I thought there was no way that you'd beat my team. Naruto's twitch became more pronounced. Please stop rhyming. Karabi ignored him, grinning the entire time. No can do, Mr. 9. The killer bee can't fight the rhyme. He turned to his team. Now that you all saw how this kid came to play, what did we all learn today? They all took this as a normal occurrence, while Naruto wanted to bash his head in with something blunt. Don't start a war, don't start a war, don't start a war. Omoi looked at his sensei. Don't judge a book by its cover. We all thought that because he was younger than us we were stronger. We didn't even care that he was a Jinchuriki like we found out yesterday, just that he was a kid. Naruto grumbled. I'm not strong because I'm a Jinchuriki, you know. It helps, but I'm strong because I damn near killed myself, almost literally, for years to get this good. I'm not even that good at using my Biju's chakra. That was all me just now. The Kyuubi always said he wouldn't tolerate a weak container. Naruto looked up at Karabi. The Kyuubi also said to stay the hell away from you in a fight, because you would completely smash me the second I turned it into a Biju pissing contest. You have unrivaled control over yours. I can only handle 3 tails worth of Kyuubis without going insane. Sigh, why did I say that out loud? Karabi's grin widened when Naruto admitted that, to admit that kid, your balls area made of brass. Acknowledging that I can kick your ass. Naruto frowned at him. You're older than me by like 20 years. You have at least 30 years of experience with yours. You may have unrivaled control over the Hachibi, but I make up for that in my own way. He clenched his fists at his side. I try to do as much fighting as I can without relying on anything from Kyuubi. I only bring any of my skills that it provides out into the open when I truly have no other choice. Most of the other Jinchuriki on record just use their demons to flat out annihilate anyone in their way without developing their own skills too much. Soon as Jinchuriki is like that, I beat him in his fully transformed state without even really tapping into Kyuubi's chakra, and I had other disadvantages too that I'm not going to get into. Karui looked at Naruto strangely. Beating a Jinchuriki is no joke, even for another Jinchuriki. This kid did it without even using his demon to match power. They all knew how soon as Jinchuriki was repelled during the invasion of Konoha, but information on how it happened was scarce, and now, looking at the kid that was claiming to be the one that stopped him single-handedly, she realized just how far out of their league they really were when they challenged him. How are you still a Chunin? With power like that you should be a jounin like Karabi-sensei or Yujido. Naruto shrugged, that's what I've been saying for months, but Tsunade-Bashan seems to think I need to stop and smell the flowers so to speak because she didn't fast-track me after I beat all of Best Genin into the dirt without taking a shot. Hopefully I can get some serious missions to convince her to promote me. Samui bowed to Naruto, making the boy sweat drop in discomfort. Thank you for sparring with our team Uzumaki-san, you've showed us how much further we need to go. Naruto rubbed the back of his head as he looked away from the bowing girl, as the urge to stare down her shirt was nagging at the back of his mind, or was that the Kyuubi? You don't need to bow to me Samui. And please just call me Naruto, honorifics kind of piss me off. Samui rose back up, whatever you want Naruto-san. His sweat drop got more pronounced, it's a start I guess. Naruto looked at all of the Kyuumo ninja, so are we going back to Kyuumo now? Because my squad leader Ganma is going to be pissed when he can't find me. I can already smell the reprimands that I'll be getting when this mission is over. Nothing like getting your butt chewed out to make you feel like a kid. Naruto looked around in order to get his bearings and took off in the direction that he figured was Kyuumo. Omoi walked up to his sensei as they all watched the blonde boy leave the vicinity. Karabi-sensei, why didn't you ask to fight Naruto? I thought you would have been all over that. Karabi looked at his student and ruffled his hair, there was no need little Omoi. I already knew I could beat that boy. He said it himself, with my experience and power, he'd have been in the hospital in half an hour. Karui held her ribs, man that guy hits hard. Are you sure sensei? The only person that I remember ever hitting me any harder than him was you, and this was a spar between foreign ninja. I'd say he would have pasted my organs if we were fighting for real. Samui and Omoi moved to help her walk out of the valley while the blonde girl chipped in with her own input. Naruto-san stated it himself, he couldn't beat Karabi-sensei in a real fight. Sensei has way more experience and raw power at his disposal. It was big of him to actually admit it. Though I am still confused as to why you didn't fight him Karabi-sensei. You were never one to turn down a potential challenge. It's because even your sensei isn't crazy enough to go against Reikage-sama, brother, or not. Yujito appeared from behind one of the peaks to meet up with her fellow Kyuumo nin. A fight between the Jinchuriki of different countries is not something that should be done outside of the battlefield, even the small fight that you all had is somewhat pushing it. Jinchuriki are not only weapons, they are political tools, and with the Konoha delegate in town a fight between either of us and Naruto could end badly for the relations of our villages regardless of the outcome. Karabi acknowledged his fellow Jinchuriki, Yujito-chan, watching Mr. Nine's fight too? You do know that he could see you? Yujito blew off the large man, he could see you too. I was never hiding, I just wanted to see him fight. I'd been following since the others picked him up in town. A smirk came to her lips, he's very good. I do think he would have still had the energy to go a few rounds with one of us if he had stuck around or was allowed to fight. He fought a very conservative style. All things considered, he really didn't use that much chakra as far as Jinchuriki are concerned. Karabi grinned, looks like you've taken a shine to Mr. Nine. If that look on your face is any sign. Yujito narrowed her eyes at Karabi, I just said he was strong. He's younger than me, I could never be into a kid like that. I don't know kitten. 5 years isn't that much of an age difference is it? Yujito blinked at the voice in her mind. Nibby shut up. He's just a kid. A kid that could kill 3/5 of the people standing here yes, but still just a kid. All Yujito got was a chuckle from the back of her mind. Whatever you say kitten. Acting like his fight didn't turn you on just a bit. Yujito blushed and walked away before anyone could see it. Samui however, caught it before she could get away and narrowed her eyes. In Konoha, Sakura stood with her hands hovering over a fish and glowing green. The focus on her face was intense as she attempted to bring it back to life through use of Shosenjutsu, mystical palm technique, taught to her due to her training under Tsunade. Sakura had been confused at first after Team 7 had been for all intents and purposes disbanded following Naruto's promotion and downright distraught following Sasuke's defection to Orochimaru, so it gave her somewhat of a pickup when she was told that she was to be the first selected to train in the new Medic Nin program set up by Tsunade. This meant that she was trained and overseen directly by the legendary slug Sannin herself. A small smile came to her face as she recalled asking why she had been chosen, let alone the first chosen, to be in the program. She remembered the smirking face of her master telling her to credit it to Naruto. "Hey Pinky!" Sakura broke her concentration to look over at the Oto Kunoichi that was captured by Naruto during the retrieval mission. Tayuya, she was told her name was. "What do you want?" Sakura stated in a cold tone. She knew that the girl was under direct protection of Tsunade due to the copious amounts of information she handed out after being caught during the retrieval mission, and also that Tsunade told her that any attempts to cause physical harm to the girl would end with Naruto breaking his foot. Off in her ass, she had finally come to terms with the fact that Naruto was 100% willing and sure as hell able to go through with such a thing on his Sakura-chan. Not that he had even called her that since after the invasion. However, she also somewhat blamed her for getting Sasuke out of the country and into Orochimaru's hands. It was a useless grudge right then anyway. Even if Naruto wasn't around to beat her ass for harming Tayuya, she wasn't too sure she could pull it off herself anyway. Instead, she treated the girl with cold indifference, which suited Tayuya just fine anyway. If you didn't like her, she wasn't going to fall all over herself to change your mind. Tayuya shrugged off her tone. "Tsunade sent me to tell you to rest for now. It's time for you to knock off for the day." Sakura frowned and nodded. "Why do you call me Pinky and yet call Tsunade Shirsho by her name?" Tayuya smirked. "I may be pretty vulgar and everything, but I know well enough to not piss off people that can kill me, and that Tsunade lady sure as hell can. The only reason I don't call Shithead by his real name is because he let me call him Shithead and get away with it." Sakura's sweat dropped as she heard Tayuya's name for Naruto, although calling him a baka as if it were his given name for roughly 4 years and trying to wail on him didn't really seem better. Kami, why didn't he ever kill her with his bare hands again? Elsewhere in Konoha, Team Guy was still hard at work training their skills, even during the waning light of sundown. Tenten and Niji were seated off to the side as the brown-eyed Kunoichi was starting to lose her patience. "Lee. Guy-sensei. Can we please go home now? Maybe you two can train until you can't even see your nose in front of your face, but both me and Niji have things to do back home." Guy halted the ongoing spar between him and his clone-like pupil. "My dear student Tenten, our flames of youth will light the darkness of the night. I am simply instructing Lee on how to defeat his eternal rival, a struggle that I myself can understand and respect." Niji rolled his pupil-less eyes. "Yes, I understand he wants to beat me, but do I really have to be here to witness him training to do so?" Lee, who was stuck in his stance waiting on Guy, blinked blankly and stood straight up. "I am sorry Niji-kun, but despite my desire to overcome you in battle, you are no longer my rival." Niji almost dropped his jaw in shock, but his Hyuga stoicism kept him from breaking into joyous dance and jinxing himself. "Really? Who is your rival now then? Do I know him?" Lee's eyes burned with literal fiery intensity. "Naruto-kun. The way he simply defeated you all effortlessly, and dispatched an opponent that I myself was being overwhelmed by when he interfered. He even made defeating Sasuke-kun look easy even while he was under the cursed seal's influence. He is truly the measuring stick of which I will need to compare my flames if I ever want to achieve my goal of being a splendid taijutsu using ninja." Niji nodded outwardly while on the inside he had already started making plans to build a small shrine to the blonde destroyer of men. "Naruto Uzumaki, you have already freed me from one burden, one that I was sure would follow me even beyond death, unlike my seal. I now have no doubts about your ability to change the Hyuga clan in time." Tenten's sweat dropped and then began worrying for her blonde friend's future sanity. "Lee. Just don't bug him too much. I don't want Naruto-kun to kill you to get the voices out of his head." Niji smirked at hearing Tenten call Naruto-kun and was about to call her on it before Lee broke into a youthful rant. However, it was too late. Lee had gone off on a tangent. "Yash. I will challenge Naruto-kun to a challenge of his choice upon his return to Konoha just to prove that I can defeat him. And if I cannot win, I will carry each of my teammates up and down the Hokage monument 100 times each, and if I can't do that I will dash dot. While Guy stood alongside him crying tears of pride, Tenten and Niji simply walked off towards their homes. This could continue on for hours and it was already getting dark. Back in Kumogakure, nightfall. Ganma stood over Naruto, who was seated on his bed with a firm gaze affixed on his displeased superior. Rolling his senbon in his mouth he sighed heavily, "Kid, you seriously need to let us know when you're going to go somewhere and you don't think you'll beat us back to the hotel. We almost had a mini freakout about where you were until you came ambling back in." Naruto knew he deserved this. In his defense, he didn't know he was actually leaving the village altogether when he decided to take up Team Samui on their invitation to spar, but still, that was no excuse. Naruto sat through Ganma's half-hearted tirade. Honestly, he knew it really wasn't Naruto's fault, fully, but he still had to get it into the kid's head that things like this couldn't happen on missions. What if there were people actively trying to kill them? Naruto took the lecture with a grain of salt. He wasn't mad at Ganma, he was the leader of the mission, and what do leaders do when easily preventable mistakes are made? You choose someone's butt out. Naruto could now see why he wasn't ready to be a jounin, he was still working like was flying solo. Sure, he spoke to his team, and was on good terms with them all. He listened to them, seeing as how they were his seniors and wouldn't go against orders from them, but he was still used to being left to his own devices, doing things at his own pace and in his own way, things like that. When it came to actual team situations, not even his dope self had much experience. When Team 7 had missions, things ended up with them usually doing their own thing, and doing their own thing usually ended up with Naruto being by himself, very little teamwork utilized. Oh well, he had plenty of time to fix that now that he was in a situation where he could learn about it. Ganma sat down on his bed and sighed, "Kid, you are just a massive headache. This whole thing was supposed to be like a giant vacation, and now I'm playing den mother to your twisted ass." Naruto rolled his eyes, "Sorry for being different, Ganma. I suppose you'd rather I be a cookie-cutter design ninja, aka cannon fodder, or a loud punk with more mouth than skill." The Tokubetsu jounin smirked at Naruto, "I don't know, kid, you seem to have a lot of mouth to me." In return, Naruto grinned at him, "I never said I didn't. But the comparison was more mouth than skill. I'm pretty sure that if I talk about something I can back it up." Omoi, Karui, and Samui, following the spar with Naruto, were escorted by Yujido to the hospital for the beating that they took from Naruto. Omoi ended up with a mild concussion, a cracked jaw, and a nasty shiner. Karui had bruised ribs, a few marks on her face that would take a few days to fully fade, and an injured wrist. Samui had light internal injuries and a mark on her torso in the shape of a 13-year-old boy's fist. Karui was limping lightly as they all walked with one another towards each of their respective homes for the night. "That guy beat the crap out of us. I haven't been beaten like that by anyone our age ever." Omoi mumbled a response, "He did tell us to take him seriously, it's not like he didn't warn us." Karui glared at him, but couldn't physically do anything because they were both pretty hurt. "I know that, dumbass. Hindsight is 20/20, isn't it? I still can't believe Naruto is a Jinchuriki. He doesn't fight anything like Karabi-sensei or Yujido." Samui nodded. "Karabi-sensei is more of an overwhelming force of nature in battle. Naruto-san is something more akin to a skill fighter. He only engaged us directly when he had determined exactly how much effort was required to defeat us all with minimum damage. According to the people at the hospital, he never showed up there. That means a few shallow cuts in his body that weren't even worth healing were all we inflicted on him." Karui let out an incredulous noise. "That's so cool though. He's our age and he's just like Karabi-sensei, without the lame-ass rapping." Omoi mumbled through his jaw, "He's still not stronger than Karabi-sensei though. Do you think he could put up a fight against Yujido?" Samui smiled lightly, "I don't know. He's pretty cool though." Karui's jaw went slack at her female teammate's statement, "As Samui, he's 2 years younger than us. And he's not even from this country, he's from Konoha. How can you think anything like that about him?" She shrugged and rolled her shoulders, "I can think what I want about him. Who cares how old he is? That kind of thinking is what got us beaten so thoroughly in the first place, remember?" As they arrived at her house, she started to walk towards her front door. "I wonder if he's any good at giving massages." Karui stared at Samui as she went inside. She's not serious, right? She's joking, isn't she? Omoi shook his head and patted her on the shoulder to get her to move along. Nearby, however, a middle-aged man with black hair wearing a Kumo hideate stopped and looked at the young ninja, having eavesdropped on their conversations, and clenched his fists in anger. Several hours later. Due to a lull in the meetings, Hamura instructed his guards that they were free to do as they wished until he called for them, be it in a few hours or a few days. While Kotetsu and Izumo were banking on a few days, seeing as how they bragged loudly to Ganma, who decided to join them, and Naruto about how they were going to go get loaded and laid later that night. Naruto simply gave them a simple glance and stated in a deadpan voice that if they had to brag to a 13-year-old kid about possibly getting some, then there was something wrong with them. The two Chunins slinked out of the room with a proverbial rain cloud over their heads, amid much laughter from their squad leader. This, however, did not prevent them from heading out and making an attempt, but Naruto had to make one more crack. Going shopping for the gift that keeps on giving, are we? Well, just remember, soak your balls in rubbing alcohol at the end of the night. It kills stuff like that. And stay the hell away from me for a week. If I catch something out of simply being in your presence, I'll kill you both. Ganma waited for the two to leave before raising a questioning eyebrow to Naruto. Will that shit really work? Naruto snorted in amusement. Fuck no, but I guarantee that their drunk asses will try it later, and we'll know when they do, trust me. But I digress. Naruto had long since retired for the night, without imbibing in the alcoholic influences of nighttime living the way his teammates were out and about in an attempt to do. After fighting an entire team, no matter how little damage you take, the adrenaline from the fight will end up making you somewhat tired after the fight, and thus the young blonde had no qualms about heading straight to sleep after being left alone for the evening. Kenta Marekio had to watch as Kumo backed down from war with Konoha during the Hyuga incident 8 years ago. While a lot of Kumo's higher-ups were upset that the plan failed, and most of the general population were pissed off at the higher-ups for almost forcing another war. However, this held different water when it came to Kenta, as it was his older brother that had been sent over to go through with the plan. Kenta had accompanied him and had been promised that it would be a cakewalk, as he didn't have to actually bring down a full-grown Hyuga, all he had to do was kidnap one of the little girls to bring back and, for lack of a better term, breed. Too bad for him, the little girl he took was the daughter of the clan head, and the clan head came looking for him, and he kicked his ass and killed him. So when Kumo pushed for Hayashi Hyuga's death and his body to be sent over to Kumo, he felt his brother had actually died for something, until he realized that Kumo had been gypped and that they were sent a branch Hyuga, Hayashi's brother, instead. Kenta was enraged that Konoha had fleeced the village that way. He held his grudge long after anyone else from Kumo dropped theirs, and when he learned from those kids that Konoha's Jinchuriki was here, he had to take this chance to cripple the village that held his hatred. It was excruciatingly easy to find out which hotel housed the Konoha group. Everyone knew that they were there by now, so there was no real secrecy about their presence. Hell, even finding their hotel rooms were simple. The only one he couldn't get access to or info on was the VIP room, which was okay with him. He wanted the Jinchuriki. Picking the lock was child's play, and upon entering the room he grinned as he realized that there was only one person there. In the moonlight he saw a small blonde boy, but upon seeing the whisker marks on his face he brandished his kunai and stalked forward. Time to take a shot at Konoha. As he moved the kunai towards the boy's neck, the boy's hand shot out and held his hand in an iron-like grip. Yeah. Don't do that. Naruto's eyes slowly focused on the man standing over him. Hello, assassin. Not what you were expecting, am I? The man couldn't draw his eyes away from the stone-cold blue eyes that seemed to bore into his brain. Trying to pull his kunai away from the deceivingly strong boy, he tried to stall. How did you know I was here? Naruto huffed through his nose and broke the man's wrist, forcing him to drop the kunai. You tripped my wire. He motioned his eyes to a wire wrapped around his finger, set up in front of the doorway and by the window. Now let's kill you and be done with it, shall we? The man hissed in pain and cocked his other fist back to slug the brat in the face before he ended up catching a bare foot to the face that sent him flying back into the door of the room. Naruto stood up in a crouch on his bed and smirked at the man. You're so fucked, I'm telling. Naruto said in a childish way before fleeing through the open window. The man growled and gave chase. If that little bastard actually made it to the Raikage office, he was dead. It wouldn't matter that his brother was so highly ranked before his death, as the current rankage was against the entire plan altogether back in the day. It was common knowledge around the ninja population that the man was almost fanatical when it came to his hatred of Konoha, so it could be easily stated that he tried to kill their Jinchuriki. As he ran across the rooftops, the Kenta panicked. He gave Naruto at least 10 good seconds to disappear before he gave chase. Whether he knew it or not, 10 seconds was 7 seconds too long to give Naruto when you wanted to directly capture him. Cursing at himself for his own stupidity. To allow the boy time to get away, he attempted to head straight to the tower to cut the boy off at the pass. When he reached near the tower some odd 5 minutes later, he grinned to himself. The boy hadn't arrived, or else the alarm would have been sounded, and a chuckle almost came from his throat as he saw the boy land nearby on the same rooftop. Looks like you're not too fast, boy. Naruto grinned sheepishly at the man. I guess not, huh? Oh well, it's not important how fast I go anyway. Kenta gripped a kunai in his unbroken hand. Oh really? So I'm guessing with talk like that, you don't mind if I kill you? Naruto shook his head, grin still in place. Well, I don't know what you want with me, but I don't care if you kill me. He saw the man coil to attack, because I'm just a motherfucking decoy. Say cheese. Naruto pointed off to the side where another Naruto smiled and burst into smoke. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Naruto had found the mansion of the Yatsuki clan and was already inside, having been invited inside by a quickly after being surrounded by ninja, and was currently seated in his study. Well, he definitely had intent to end my life. I shook his head at the boy in front of him. And how do you know this? As a matter of fact, Uzumaki-san, why didn't you just kill him flat out? Naruto grinned cheekily. Well, my original plan actually was to just kill him and then tell you what happened, but I have a feeling that wouldn't have worked out too well for my Konoha contingent. Are you a ninja on him yet? I nodded. I sent them out right when you told me about this assassin. Kumo has no involvement in this man's actions. I hope you don't hold this against us. Trust me, he will be punished for this. His hatred for Konoha has gone on for too long. This could have been seen as an act of war if he had succeeded. He'll be executed. Good riddance, the last remnants of an outdated era. Naruto waved it off. I get it. It's no big deal, Reikage-sama. If people in Konoha try to kill me, I guess I should expect it elsewhere too, huh? Hey, could I handle his punishment? I nodded and sweat dropped as an evil smirk came to Naruto's face. Man, this kid is weird, and not the weird that I'm used to. Now if he burst out into rhyme, that would be familiar. The next morning. Aha! As a loud pair of screams ripped through the hotel, Naruto awoke from his slumber with a smile on his face and looked over at Gunma, who was looking out the window with a cup of coffee in his hand. Good morning, Gunma. Have a good night last night? Gunma looked over at Naruto and frowned somewhat. I'm nursing a bit of a hangover, kid. So what did you do when we left last night? Naruto sat up and rubbed his eyes. Oh, not much. Meditated for a bit. I went to bed, got attacked by an assassin, and went back to bed. Yeah, it was pretty boring. Gunma looked over in surprise but simply ended up shaking his head. I swear to Kami, kid, the shit that you get into just by being around. I can't even reprimand you because you don't do anything. Naruto scratched his head as he walked to the bathroom. Tell me about it. Naruto poked his head out back through the door with a grin. Oh, and clear your schedule for today. I've got something for you guys to see.
That's it for today. Remember to show your support to the creator of this story if you enjoyed it. If you would like more parts of the story to be uploaded, leave a comment and subscribe to get notified when the story continues. Bye-bye for now, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day.